Today's show is brought to you by Drift Outfitters at 199 Queen Street East in downtown Toronto, Ontario. Drift Outfitters is packed full of fly fishing gear, tying materials, clothing, hats, bags, and more. Rob and the guys down at the shop have you covered for all your fly fishing needs. Whether you're taking a trip to Northern Ontario or heading on a massive journey to the heart of Africa to fish tigerfish on the Zambezi River, Drift Outfitters has got you. Stop by the shop at 199 Queen Street East or visit them online at driftoutfitters.com to take advantage of their fantastic online store and free shipping on Canadian orders over $100. Hello and welcome to another episode of SoFly. It's February 10th, believe it or not. It's a Monday. And we're back in the studio with a new mixer there. So you might be hearing different sounds coming from us. My name is Mitch. We got Aldo.
Hi.
We got Yilma.
Hey, everybody.
And we've got a very special guest in the studio today. He's out back from the woods, deep in the woods. He's emerged to the city and joined us here in downtown Toronto to talk about Temagami and Temagami Outfitting Co. We've got our old buddy here. We got Eric from Temagami Outfitting Co. How's it going, Eric?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here.
Welcome to the show. We've recorded up in Temagami at your fine establishment and with you, but
yeah,
now you're on our turf.
Yeah, this is actually the third podcast I've done with you guys.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
We've done 2 in Temagami and 1 here. Now, I guess we're not done yet.
No.
In fact, you could say we've just begun.
A lot can happen between now
Only just begun.
and the end of this. It might not complete. You never know.
It might not. This show might just
Yilma could
trail
storm out
off.
of here, and Aldo could,
Likely.
punch him in the kidneys or
It's
something.
likely to happen.
And it just never happens.
Yeah, we're super stoked to have you here today in the old SoFly recording room. We're going to talk about a winter camping trip that we took recently with you to Temagami. Because it was super cool. It was the first time we've all winter camped, and you've been putting it on for a few years now.
This is the 3rd year that we've been running it. I think at this point it's actually grown. It doubles about every year. So we have four groups, paid groups coming up this winter, and the first year just started off with 1 group, and then a couple of trips that I'd go with people just to see how it goes, because that's not my background really, winter camping.
Right.
So I sort of had to figure out how it all works and
waded into it.
It's a super intimidating thing if you haven't done it before, because you just picture yourself freezing the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
We were lucky our weekend. It
great.
was super warm. The weather we've got this weekend, we got a low of -30.
Whoa.
On the Friday night. So
I think we had a low of -5. And
Yeah.
that's Celsius for our
max.
American listeners.
You're going back there this weekend, coming up?
yeah, so it's a lot colder, but there's 2 types of cold. There's that cold where it's hovering around 0 and damp, which is kind of what we had.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely damp.
Yeah, so when it's really cold outside,
Mhm.
in a weird way, it's easier to get that tent heated up, and you don't have water dripping all over you. And
Yeah, that's true.
So I bought some more pillows and more furs.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
So,
You have a sweet setup out there, man. Let me tell you, it was pretty cozy.
I'll tell you, the Ragnar, the round tent. I think that's a sexier tent than the
Oh,
Roosevelt.
it's a way.
That was the move.
The Roosevelt's cool, too, though. It's like a
Yeah.
big cabin almost.
Yeah,
It
it is.
smells
It's huge.
so good.
But you get those pine boughs down.
Yeah, that is the trick.
Oh, it smells so good.
And they smell even better when the tent warms up, because I think that brings out the
The aromatics.
exactly.
They pop out.
Right.
Oh, my
Exactly.
God.
Whatever the equivalent of are there pores in needles? I don't know.
I think it
But
just
it's
sort
like
of
something like that.
it
And
loosens them up and lets
Yeah.
their aroma out.
Let the stank out.
yeah, I guess
Hey, we got buttons now we could play.
you have a laugh track in
Yeah,
there?
we've got buttons. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm really jazzed on this new mixer. I
No,
think
the
it's-
mixer, the mixer's amazing. Plus
Mitch,
now finally someone will laugh at Yilma's jokes.
Hey!
You ruined it by telling everyone that it's a laugh track. I mean,
No, it's a studio audience in the back of this room.
We're now paying 30 extras to be here to laugh at us.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
it's like Because News on CBC.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we should paint a picture of our weekend, because it was honestly awesome. Like after Christmas, Eric and I met up. We live in the same neighborhood in Toronto, and we met up for some beers, and we were talking about, we always do so much work together, and what could we do? And he was like, well, you know what? I actually got a group coming up winter camping if you guys want to come ice fish and check out the Temagami forest in
Yeah.
the winter. And we were all like,
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Always wanted to see Temagami in the winter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool in the summer, but like something about the winter is just so.
So, Eric, we might have some new listeners. Can you just refresh where is Temagami and what's Temagami Outfitting all about?
So Temagami is 450 kilometers north of the 400 and 401 intersection, and it's about an hour north of North Bay.
Right.
Yep.
And my wife Karen and I, we run Temagami Outfitting, which is one of the oldest outfitting companies in Canada, founded in 1926. We've recently moved locations, so we are moving into the building across the street from our current location, which is right on our new location is right on the water, and it's they call it the old Lady Evelyn Outfitting Building. So it was an outfitting building for a long time. I remember when I was a kid and I'd go up tripping and camping in Temagami, that's where all the canoe culture was based out of, was that building. So we're psyched to get back in there and you know.
Oh, we saw it. We're psyched.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. It is
Massive.
huge. Yeah. It's
Awesomely massive.
It's gonna be, well, now you guys always have a bed.
Oh, man.
That's exciting.
That's super exciting. Oh, my God. I love that.
Yeah.
I don't mind sleeping on top of Mitch.
Yeah, we had some good
Mitch
times
is
sleeping in
soft.
that store.
Yeah, he's soft.
I'm soft.
Yeah.
I'm like a big pillow. Come on over here, baby. We had some good times sleeping in that store.
I slept in the store. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's especially fun in the winter when there's no running
Oh my
water or
God.
bathrooms. So,
It starts to get a little chilly.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
actually a bylaw infraction.
Yeah, is it?
It is. No one's supposed to overnight in that building.
Well, we didn't actually overnight. We're just joking.
Mind you, we built an apartment in the back and
Yeah, straight bunk beds.
lived there for 6 months. So,
But that wasn't
Nice.
us.
you know,
Nah,
that's-
that never happened.
I
Yeah,
didn't
the
do
new
it.
building's right on the water, which is cool. Got a patio, hotel rooms.
Yeah.
It's so smart because, like, yeah, if you drive, you know, if you're coming from wherever and your trip doesn't, then you can come the day before. So that way you just wake up, you're there, and then off you go on your route.
You know,
as
we-
opposed to cramming that all in one day.
We would refer a lot of people to some of the other establishments in the area to stay,
Of course.
and love all those folks, but it's still a little bit of revenue that we weren't capturing.
Yeah.
Of course.
So getting actually for all the groups that we've booked so far this January and February, every single one of them is booked the night before.
Yeah,
in
it's a
our building.
no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Anytime we go north, we always go down the night before. So you
Yeah.
wake up in the place that you're, you know?
You're just ready to go
Yeah.
the next morning.
Especially Temagami. Like, do you want to drive for 4.5 hours, show up quickly, rush, get the canoes on the roof of your car, and then
Yeah.
drive another 2 hours to a put
And then paddle. Yeah. No.
We want to get there, have a drink,
Yeah.
sleep, and then get up in the next morning.
You want to get there, have a drink,
Yeah.
have another drink,
Have another drink.
sit in the sauna, have a drink, jump in the lake.
Naked.
Have a drink.
No, just assume.
Just assume. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you know, I'm from Denmark. I'm from Denmark. We're cool with that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what?
So-
The vibe up in Temagami is just cool with that kind of thing. I'm just saying.
It is.
Yeah, you know what? We've had some cool with that kind of thing moments in several locations around Temagami. So
Amazing. I think it's an
Yeah.
awesome new.
I
think
love that
it's
building. I
So
love
central,
it.
right in Temagami. It's going to be such a great opportunity for your biz to just keep on plowing.
yeah, and you know let's go back to fly fishing for a 2nd here. That really lets us up our fly fishing game because our program has really grown now with the fly fishing. I think I was talking about this with Aldo a couple weeks ago. We actually have a full blown group going out now. Last year we did 2 groups, but this is the earliest we've booked some people. We've got a fully booked group the first week in September, 7th to 11th,
Nice.
which I think you guys are going to be a part of.
Yeah.
Which is pretty exciting.
Sounds good to
I think
me.
We got to, Gab's got to tell me he can't do it.
Yeah,
first.
yeah,
Gab,
of
I'm
course.
telling you that. I'm loyal to you, my man. I'm loyal to you. I
He's
love
gone,
you,
man.
Gab.
He's left
He's
us.
left.
I know.
He's done with us.
I know, but he's a beautiful human. So
He is. He's a
Total
dude.
maniac
yeah.
for sure.
But
But I mean, kudos to you. Like we
Yeah.
we did our trip with you guys down the Lady Evelyn, and then you had the new fly fisher guys on there. So I mean, yeah, it's a great region for fly fishing.
I'm excited to take you guys past that beaver dam though,
Yeah.
because it
That's
just really opened up.
That's where everything just-
you guys remember my ability to fly fish. I was sort of a newbie and on that show and subsequent to that show, whenever I'm up on the Lady Ave, it's just like boom.
Yeah.
I'm unwrapping plastic off new rods every day.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I mean, it's a magical route for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah, and I spoke to a guy who sort of lives off grid in up near Elk Lake, and he was just flat out giving me a whole bunch of other spots. And he was like, have you been into the Macomb River? And I said, no, I haven't. We were going to go there last year, but that was the epicenter of the fire. So I've driven down Cook Lake Road a whole pile of times and had a look at the devastation of that burn, which is a natural thing. You think you'd be depressed and freaked out by it, but you see how quickly that thing is just going to turn into something new and something different, and a very colorful wildflower on the forest floor.
Right.
But that Macomb River is apparently a phenomenal brook trout fishery, and you can day trip that too. You can put in off of Cook Lake and then just do a float all the way back to Elk Lake.
Right.
Really?
So I'm excited to try those.
Well,
out.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that might be the next SoFly trip.
That's such an easy. It sounds like such an easy day trip.
And we end up
Well, we just can't.
Elk Lake. That's easy.
We can't midway down, so we,
Yeah.
we do it an overnight. But we should definitely try that out and see what's going on there.
Yeah,
down,
absolutely.
obviously.
Big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I think it's been awesome seeing the fly fishing flourish in Temagami because it's such a great place to go fly fishing. It's just so much unexplored water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, like no pressure,
Yeah.
like on so much water. It's just like you can go and explore and really be in nature.
And it's like if you're willing to put the time in, like
Yeah.
who knows what you could find?
And the late
Who knows what you
Who
could
knows?
find?
you could be
Brook
catching
trout,
auroras.
brook trout, aurora trout,
Yeah.
smallies.
Third
Like,
season, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Aurora Trout trip last year, I think, did we tell you guys that story? That Johnny
No.
set that trip up.
No.
Got the
No.
call from the Ministry of Natural Resources saying, you guys can't go fish for Aurora trout. And Johnny is pretty good at reading the regs and doing the right thing.
well, it's what he's going to school for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he graduated.
Oh, right.
So, I say, Johnny, what's up with this Aurora trip? I just got a pretty nasty call saying we can't go fish for Aurora trout. And, it really wasn't on my radar. Johnny said, hey, I want to put this Aurora trip together. And I said, go for it. So we speak to Pete Gilbo, who's a buddy of ours. He's an M&R conservation officer. And he comes by the store and we're going over the regs with him. He says, guys, I don't know. I don't know if you guys can do this trip. I'm as confused as you are. So he goes right to the top and, to Johnny's credit, he found about 4 or 5 lakes that have outflows from the sanctuaries that are fully legal to fish for Aurora trout. We got that email. I'm not suggesting people go fishing.
Yeah.
By the way, it's you can go fish for other fish.
Yeah.
And the regs, and it even says in the regs, you catch one,
Yeah.
you put it away, and then you put it back, and then you're done fishing for the day on that lake.
Yeah.
So it's a really strange regulation. But they went ahead and did it, and we got a call from the M&R after, and they wanted to know how many we caught, the sizes. So all of a sudden they're looking for data from us. And I'll say this, Johnny and the client, they did really, really well with auroras up there.
Mhm.
But again,
great.
It's awesome.
Pete said, I'm going to do and Pete's a lovely guy. CO, he goes, after we figure out that we can go fish for these guys, and he says, I'm going to do everything in my power to close this loophole.
Yeah. Good.
So we'll see what the regs look like this year.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, I heard the same things last year because we tried Aurora and it was like similar stories where people are just like, we just don't know. Like the regulations aren't clear. Like there's so much speculation around it. It's like, well, just figure it out. Like, I mean, you guys are the rule makers.
Well, they have all these weird sanctuary lakes that open once every 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Ones we went to.
it doesn't really. It's hard to read the regs. It's the same thing with hunting.
Mhm.
If something confuses you,
Mhm.
you can get into a lot of trouble. It can be very financially punitive if you screw it up, and you don't want to have to call a CO every time you have a question. You want to see some rules, and then you want to be able to abide by them, because I don't know anyone who fly fishes or hunts that messes around. Like they're
No, for
Yeah,
sure.
no.
serious
Yeah,
serious
serious.
about conservation. They
Absolutely.
want to be able to do it and have their
Correctly,
their
yeah.
great grandkids
Oh, yeah,
do it too.
100%.
So it's just kind of a strange thing that sometimes the regs can be so cryptic.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
It is weird that it's because people are trying their best to do it, and it's strange for sure.
Yeah. Do you want the M&R to regulate those loopholes? Or, I mean, because essentially you have such strict rules on the lakes that matter for the Aurora trout, but then like the outflows, I mean, isn't that something that
It's a tough question. A lot of data shows that the more people that hunt and fish for specific species, those species thrive when it's done properly and responsibly. And groups like Ducks Unlimited, Trout Unlimited. You can't catch and release ducks, but you're not going to tell me that Ducks Unlimited isn't the only reason that we have massive amounts of Canada geese.
Yeah, they're
and
mindful.
ducks flying around all over Ontario.
Oh, the wetland protection.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. They're a land protection agency, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to habitat, and you see that with fish as well. The spawning grounds. When those get messed up. When people start putting in break walls and dredging gravel beds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what kills fish, not people catching them.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that, at least.
Yeah.
And certainly there's a lot of data that shows that was the case with Lake Simcoe. And
Because it bounced back or something after?
well, you had all these people that took their shorelines and they put in break walls. So they dug out the natural shoreline, and then they just put sort of cinder blocks. You see it if you do a shoreline
Yeah.
I've seen that.
trip of Lake Simcoe, and that fishery collapsed. Whitefish and trout, that's their spawning grounds, and they started stocking that lake and very successfully, mind you, too. It's an amazing lake, certainly for winter fishing.
Oh, it's a
winter
huge
fishing
whitefish ice fishing thing. Yeah.
So good at it.
And the whitefish in that lake are just ginormous.
Enormous.
I don't understand
fish.
it. You catch a whitefish in Lake Temagami, it's basically, the size of a normal bass. You catch one in Lake Simcoe, it's like a 10-pound
It's
monster.
like a beaver.
I know. I keep seeing pictures recently on Instagram about people at Simcoe with just these
Monsters. Chonks, I know. We should go ice fishing on Simcoe.
They're genetically modified.
Let's do it. Yeah, they should have GMOs.
They are there. But that's an interesting point, Yilma. I think, going back to that, I think people regulating outflows, I think it's what, Eric just said is understanding, how do those outflow, you might have a lake that's protected, but then a stream runs out of that lake and the auroras are spawning actually in the lake beside that lake. So the one that's protected is protected, but they're actually, and who knows? It's obviously I'm just saying stuff off the top of my
there's
head.
so many variables, right?
But there's so many variables that maybe we don't understand.
But maybe
how important are those feeder?
The goal is to have those lakes with spawning beds and that population increasing. It would be an amazing thing if all of a sudden there were 75 lakes in Temagami that
had aurora trout.
Yeah.
And that we're all protected.
Yeah.
Because right now, it's who's to say that, those unprotected.
There's got to be a reason, right?
But what?
The aurora is the reason they only stock a few lakes. Well, there's a couple
they still have the wild population. But I guess that's what I'm talking about.
So the little, I don't know if I should even say the names.
Oh, keep it Seek.
No, but it's not. You can look it up. It's like Whirligig.
Yeah.
Whirligig, Little White Pine, and Aurora.
Yeah.
What a beautiful name.
And
Whirligig.
Those are wild populations.
Yeah. But then again, without if we have anglers passionate anglers going in there and finding those lakes, then they get protected.
The fact is, it is the most interesting thing in Temagami fish-wise.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's the most mysterious thing going on there. It's the only place you can go and catch those fish.
That's the thing. It's so crazy.
Yeah. So
it's a mysterious region.
Oh, Temagami is so
in a
great way.
Romantic way.
It's enormous. The way I like to look at it, a lot of people will say, there's Killarney and there's Algonquin. Why do I want to drive? Well, Killarney is the same distance from Toronto as Temagami, so that argument doesn't work for Killarney. But why do I want to do that extra hour and a half drive to get up to Temagami? And what I like to tell people is you can go to Algonquin and you can go to Killarney, and they have their beautiful spots as well. But Temagami has a lot more in common with Wabakimi or Quetico or Woodland Caribou, those kind of parks.
Yeah.
And it's the closest experience you can get to those parks without getting on a plane and puddle jumping on flights.
Wabakimi would be sweet, but Temagami is just as wild.
Yeah, it is. And you also, it's more accessible. There's 28 places you can start your trip. You see those roads too. A lot of the adventure, you remember when we went down to Jack Pine. Remember that road?
Jack Pine. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that was insane.
I know.
Like, I don't know if I would drive that road. I've had people call me up and say, "Can you drive me to Jack Pine Lake?" I'm like, I don't think I want to try that again.
Yeah, no.
That was madness.
Yeah, it was madness.
Like if we would still be there if we burst a tire.
Yeah.
We'd still be there. Like they'd find us
just
like
live there.
Yoma would just be like, we would have smoked his. He would have all been on it. He would have been put in the smoker.
Yeah,
and
totally.
we'd be cutting off the prime cuts.
Totally. It's a good thing I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Even to Pim was kind of like
You were
crazy.
there.
Was I there?
You were totally there.
Oh, I would have definitely been on the grill then.
Yeah. That was you, Yoma, and
On the
Garrett.
smoker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Oh, right.
that
Jack
was-
Pine. Yeah,
That was,
yeah.
that was pre-Aldo.
The van just like it sounded like a tank going down
Is
the
that the
road.
road to Pim? Is that the road to Pim Lake, or
No,
because it was Pim Lake was kind of
Ping,
crazy.
Ping.
Ping.
No,
sorry.
Ping
That
is on
road's
the other
crazy.
side.
Ping Lake is crazy, man. We took my Honda. Remember we took the Honda down there? And we were like, was it this crazy last time we were here? We're like, I guess, but it totally was. It was just like really like, it's a skidoo trail, really, is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous road to drive.
Yeah.
It's
We
not
just
even
took
a
it-
road. It's a
No.
hiking trail.
We took it in my Civic.
I think that's why I like Temagami is just it's an
crazy.
it's an adventure.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time it just feels like you're just
hmm
on your own.
Well, that's what I like. You're
that's what I
saying
like about it.
it's an accessible version of like a Wabakimi because it's like you can get shuttled in by you, and that's easy to do, right? And then once you start paddling though, you're in the wilderness.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of options to fly with Lakeland. Darren is an amazing pilot,
Right.
and he can take off and land in a puddle. So
So like that is a
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
other world, like being able to puddle jump into some back lakes. I mean, that is the fly-in experience, right? And
Yep.
it's in Temagami, which is like a lot of people probably don't do that because they'll do the fly-in somewhere else.
no, he's
Does he
he's
run a
doing
good show?
10, 12 flights a day.
A day.
A day. Yeah, we
And these are campers.
these are
like,
our customers that are taking a flight.
See, it's like everybody knows about this thing, man. It's like the coolest thing ever.
Now, does he go into places that have boats
so
on them?
cool.
Or
Well,
how's that?
he'll go. There's some go-to spots that he has. So he's flying into smooth water a lot. He's flying into Scarecrow. He's dropping people in Obabaca. He's allowed to land in places where other people aren't. Just from I think it's all grandfathered in. I'll tell you a story about Darren though. We had an evac we had to do in September. A girl broken her ankle on a portage called the Diamond Death March, which is from the South Lady Evelyn River into about the middle of Diamond Lake.
She had a badass story.
And
Diamond
it was
Death March.
really strange. We weren't allowed to send paramedics in. We could only send in a private flight, and we needed permission from CFB Trenton to send a paramedic in on his plane, but he was allowed to fly in if it was a private contracted flight. The bureaucracy of that was astounding.
I'm like, where did my questions start?
Yeah, I was sitting there with his name was Officer Schillinglaw, and and so we were both supposed to go on the flight because he was a police officer, not a paramedic, and I'm a
First responder.
I'm a first responder. So, so they call us up and say, Eric, you have to go and do this. So I'm super excited. I've got my awesome, flight pants and all my carabiners and my med kits, and I'm ready to go. I'm gonna take this person out of there, and I'm rushing to get over to the aerodrome, and then I just see the plane taking off, and I call up my wife and I say, Karen, they left without me. I almost cried. I was so excited. I was going to Instagram the living hell out of
That
that
is
one.
Yeah.
it's like pretty
Here I
rad.
am. I'm in the middle of the forest. I'm saving someone who's got a broken leg, and
Yeah.
we're going to immobilize them and get them back to safety. And come to Temagami.
TemagamiOutfitting.com.
We'll take care of you. You're in
That
good
would be
hands.
that would be a good ad.
Yeah. So
It's like wild as shit.
yeah.
Like, look at this.
So I just missed out on that one.
That's cool, man.
That's cool.
Sorry, Eric.
That's like orange level stuff, right?
Yeah, it was
Dang.
sad. She really broke her ankle badly though.
Oh man, was she
Yeah.
like okay ultimately?
I think she had surgery and pins put in it, and it
Yeah,
was a
Marino.
real thing. And when her it was a father daughter. I think she's about 25.
Yeah.
So they had an inReach, and I'm texting back and forth with their dad, and he says, "Well, this happened," and I said, "Can she walk?" And he said, "No." I'm like, "Okay, I'm just gonna call 911 right now." So you find out someone can't walk, and they're in the middle of nowhere like that. You don't try to rough it out. You don't.
No.
No.
You don't say make camp. We'll see how it is in the morning. We
Yeah.
immediately through the whole.
Yeah.
We turned on the red siren at that point.
Rescue time.
You can't kid around,
No.
because you never know what's going to happen. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's cool that you've got that back and forth with them still. I mean, it's a good outfitter.
Yeah, those satellite texters and the Garmin InReaches and that stuff that we rent out, those things have we've done 11. We've had them go off 11 times in 4 years. 3 times were sort of life and death moments, and 1 time we saved a guy's life. So
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
What?
So
Do you?
What happened?
capsized boat. It was actually the first trip I ever put out. A guy on a
What?
solo trip, May 6th, 2017, and cold water. Guy on a solo trip.
Solo trip.
Guy taking his dog out on a first trip, and I was talking to the guy before. I said, "What's the dog going to be like?" And he said, "Yeah, he's fine. He's fine." And he ended up spending about 2 hours in the water in Ferguson Bay. He was late, so he actually that wasn't because of a satellite.
Right.
That wasn't because of one of the texters. He didn't get to his rendezvous point, and we have a drop dead time. So basically, I said, if I don't hear from you by such and such time on such and such date, I don't care if you're at the bar having drinks. I'm gonna call Sartec, and we're gonna have you dealt with. So
What's Sartec?
Search and rescue.
Oh, okay.
So he's not there, and very first trip, very first time, very first weekend I opened. I walk over to the OPP and I say, I've got a guy who's supposed to be here. And they're like, okay, so call this number. And helicopter flew over, and then it got dark. So the helicopter came back. They sent a cruiser up to Red Squirrel to see if his car was still there. It was. And then they put a boat in the water. This was about 9:00 at night. And they got all the way up to Ferguson Bay. And you got to hand it to the OPP guys. Like that's a pretty gnarly trip all the way from the town of Temagami up the north arm of Lake Temagami into Ferguson Bay. You're threading a lot of needles with shoals and dangerous water. And he was in the water holding on to the boat in the middle of Ferguson Bay. And we're talking ice out a week before. So 5-degree water. He was severely hypothermic.
Yeah.
Got sent to emergency. Called me, 5 or 6 days later, and just said, had you not have called, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
But you can't kid around, especially in the early trips. I'm always kind of wary when people want to go out by themselves, and that early, especially with a dog that is not a good trip dog. Like that guy Marcus's dog, no problem.
Right.
He would have just slept in the front of the boat.
Right.
But this guy's dog was just really goofy, and I knew it wasn't a good move. So
Dog was okay though.
everything worked out, and
Yeah.
the most amazing thing is he wouldn't let go of the canoe. So the canoe, I ended up getting the canoe back, and I said, you should have just let the canoe go and tried to make it to shore or something. But he was holding on to the canoe because he didn't want to lose the canoe, because he was scared that if I lose the canoe, there's $4,000 I'm going to have to pay Temagami outfitting. So I said, don't worry about that next time. Like if you're ever in a situation, worry about yourself before you're worrying about the canoe.
Right.
God,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. And it's why we take all that stuff so seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a
gnarly.
story. Has he been back?
No. And you know what? I did call him up about a month or two after it happened. I said, I'll give you a free canoe for a week. This was in August. I said, come
Yeah.
up, take a canoe, go for a week. Because the saddest thing is if he's 21 or 22 years old,
Oh,
you know,
it's a young
it's
cat.
kind of like if you have a bad experience, you never do it again.
Right.
And I said to him, I didn't want you to have a bad experience and never do it again.
Yeah.
If that happens to you now,
Mhm.
you just float in the water for 12 hours and with your life jacket, and
Yeah.
you won't even
Yeah.
become hypothermic. It's the water's 18 degrees at that point. So,
Yeah.
Right. It's just
Yeah.
a minor
yeah.
That's
Just
an
swim,
inconvenience.
swim to
Yeah.
shore and figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it'd be bad for. It's obviously like traumatic, can be traumatic. So getting over that, but it's good to get over that so you can.
You got to get over it.
Yeah.
You got, and it's the same thing with whitewater paddling. You know, everyone has a super hard swim early on, where they're just, trapped or bouncing off rocks or have a
Yeah. I'm not.
wrap a canoe, and you got to just get right back in and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Or
Yeah.
surfing.
Yeah.
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 Just one of those things.
Yeah, I just won't start.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know if I'll do whitewater.
No.
Oh, it's fun, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We did whitewater canoeing in Ottawa. It's awesome. So much fun.
How was it on your back though? Question. Like seriously. Like 'cause
On-
you're going up and down, right?
On your back,
Yeah.
meaning your spine.
Yeah. Your spine, like
I've never heard that as an issue.
okay, great.
I mean, you
There
can
might be a Marcus
if you
question.
get wrapped around a rock
Yeah.
badly.
Then,
I mean,
maybe.
there's a lot of risk management that you have to undertake, and we do whitewater trips as well. Our whitewater when we take someone down gnarly rivers, so we've done the Missinaibi, we do the Temagami, we do the Sturgeon River. We always have an SRT guy that knows how to unpin boats and brings a pin kit and pretty skilled guys that can make sure it's done properly.
Yeah.
But with whitewater and that kind of water, you're always there's always an element of risk. It's kind of like going skiing. You can't guarantee that someone's gonna, be fine.
Yeah.
You gotta
go through it. And well, have you never whitewater rafted, Dylan?
Never. I've never done
Huh.
that.
Really?
Yeah. Have you?
Huh. Yeah,
Well, obviously.
No, man, I've never done it.
No?
No, I actually haven't.
Oh no.
Oh,
No.
you're asking me like if you have.
Ottawa
Yeah, never.
whitewater canoe at all?
I've never done it. Come on.
You know what we need on that thing?
Is it toilet flush?
You've got to have just something that says, "Oh, we've got a caller on line 1."
That'd be
It's
awesome.
like, "Hi, this is Steve from St. Catharines," or
That'd be
something
awesome.
like that.
We totally will, because we can have people call in, so we can like really easily do call-ins.
Yeah, which
Now.
is great.
So we're gonna we're gonna flex that at some point.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to figure out like a call-in thing
Yeah.
because that thing does call-ins really seamlessly.
You got to do it like call the president, where you call up and you say, "I've taken some bad acid. What should I do?" And he's like, "Do you have a cold beer? Go ahead and drink it.
We should do advice.
Do you have
from
any
us.
Almond Brothers?
You know what?
Put it on."
You know, it'd be amazing if we did like
Almond
if we did
Brothers.
like bad fishing advice and we did we like
Mhm.
kind of timed it with like the evening or whatever,
Mhm.
and we're like, call us from the stream.
Yeah.
Tell us how it's going.
Yeah.
This one guy's like, "What should I use?
Yeah.
It's 6 p.m." And we're just like, I don't know. And that's the show.
That'd be
Terrible.
great. I could dig
I would just say, "Do you have any woolly buggers?"
it. Yes, woolly buggers.
Woolly
man.
buggers.
Hey, man.
For everything, every single
I've been
answer.
fly fishing for 5 years. It's the only fly I know.
It's for me, Chernobyl ants and woolly buggers.
Oh, Chernobyl ants.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the one.
That is a
Lady Ev loves Chernobyl ants.
Brookies.
Terrestrials.
Whoa!
Oh.
Can we take 2 seconds so I can get another B?
Get
Wait,
another
before
one?
we go?
Yeah.
Eric, what are you drinking there?
I'm drinking some 40 Creek.
Oh, nice. How's it going down?
It always goes down so lovely.
I love
Have
40.
you tried their new forager?
Oh, you
Oh,
beat me to
man.
the punch, man. Yeah, the new Forager whiskey is awesome.
I got to
It's-
say, bringing that up to the camping trip a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
that bottle disappeared pretty quickly.
pretty quickly,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Forge is kind of interesting. It's made at the 40 Creek Distillery, but I don't know if it'll be under their like brand umbrella.
Mhm.
But it's made at the same distillery, and it's a whiskey that's made with foraged botanicals.
It's kinda
See, in my experience, it's always been gin that
Yeah.
has botanicals in it. So it's kind of interesting. I was expecting a certain something, but it was something else, and it's something that I liked a lot.
Yeah.
Dangerously slippery.
So why don't we pop those headphones on there, Mr.
sorry.
Sexy?
Oh,
Let's
thank
talk
you.
about.
You think I look good today?
You look good every day, man.
Oh.
It's your
Yeah,
thing.
you're a good-looking guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
without it, you'd be hopeless.
Let's jump into talking about our camping trip. So I think the one thing I want to start off by saying is, you were talking a bit before about Temagami and making the trip down there. The coming down the night before, it's the best thing to do because like
Love it.
you hop in the car. Like we leave after work at like 5 or 6 o'clock. We just get in the car and drive, and you get there and it's just like that wasn't even that bad of a drive. Like that drive.
Mitch
when
and
we did
I,
it.
we smoked that drive.
Oh man.
Once we were out of Toronto, we
Yeah.
were going.
It's easy. You just throw in the back catalog of the SoFly podcast,
Exactly. Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're in Temagami.
I mean, what you're thinking about is don't eat after work. Get in the car and drive, and just think North Bay Wendy's, baby. I'm gonna get a number 6 spicy chicken combo, medium with iced tea, and it's all gonna be fine.
Okay,
But, hey, I came up in the morning at 4 a.m. I left, and it was actually a smooth drive too. Whoa, smooth drive.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
There's a beautiful thing leaving Toronto
Oh,
at the
yeah.
crack of dawn.
Oh, dude.
and everything is
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, it's
There's
so
no one on the
quiet.
streets.
Oh, beautiful.
And
And, then
the-
the sunset.
And you're,
Sunrise.
you're rested, and you're just like,
Yeah.
you just got a nice, yeah,
And
exactly.
you feel like you're doing something illegal, but you're
You're
not.
leaving at 4 a.m. and you're like, you're like
Totally.
getting the hell out of Dodge.
Is this allowed?
Yeah, it's true. It's dark. Yeah.
So I picked up
That's
Mitchie after work on,
That's true.
on
Hitting
the,
the road
on the
early.
Thursday, and Mitchie were nuked.
Oh God,
Mitch was not feeling so
Good.
hot.
No.
these trips, man. I don't know what's going on.
It's psychosomatic.
It
It
is.
is. It
Every
is and it
time.
isn't though, because like wintertime. So the day before, or a couple days before, some guy in the streetcar was sneezing next to me relentlessly, and I'm like, "Here we go." And I got a cold.
Wintertime, summertime. Remember before out of Wapiskat, Texas? Oh, okay. Well, Texas is a bad example. But
I got a bad cold. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like
so I picked you up. Yilma was coming up the next day and hit the road. Like, you were so sick, you didn't eat your fries at Wendy's.
no, I didn't feel good. I felt like just a bad cold. I was like, oh no. That's why when I got there, I was like, I wasn't in the
straight
mood
to
for
bed.
turkey.
Straight
Yeah,
to bed.
Straight to bed.
I would have loved to have had some wild turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had
I
wild
would've
turkey
loved
up there? I missed the wild turkey.
Honestly, getting there that night and it was kind of snowing and it was nice.
Oh,
And and we were at
there was
Trapper Doug's?
zero snow in Toronto.
yeah, it was beautiful. Like
And
it
so
was
when
perfect.
we got up there, it was
And
just
warm?
like winter wonderland.
It wasn't
Yeah.
cold really.
Yeah.
Like it was a perfect temperature. I was like, this is the perfect thing. 3-day weekend, Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
Eric's there. We see Eric. I'm like, Eric. It was great.
I gotta
It was a
go to
great moment.
bed.
I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, that was unlike you.
I know.
Yeah, and then you
was a
we
bummer.
cracked beers, or I cracked beers anyway.
Yeah. I think you and I went to bed at 4 a.m.
That night.
Both nights.
It was a recurring. It was a recurring theme.
I'll tell you
That's what you
something.
do,
though.
you know.
We were talking about. We were actually talking about basketball and Kobe Bryant, and then
Yeah.
he died the next day or something,
Well-
or a week
Wow.
later.
I'll tell you, Aldo, you and I won the party Friday night. And when
Friday
I,
night? Yeah.
when
Friday
I
night.
woke up Saturday morning, I wanted to die.
I know.
And then Aldo looks over at me and goes, "Stay in the bag.
Stay
in the bag. It's nice in there. It's
It's
terrible
nice
out
and
here.
It's terrible outside of the
It's
bag.
terrible outside of the bag. Stay in the bag."
That was my first time. Like the Thursday night was my first time being at Trapper Doug's and meeting him
Mhm.
the next morning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a super cool guy.
He's a super
Very
cool guy.
Very cool
Yeah.
guy.
Skilled.
Very
Yeah.
skilled,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Trapper Doug, because we talked about him the first time we did this Temagami show.
Mhm.
But for the people who can't remember, what's Trapper Doug's deal?
So he owns Northland Paradise Lodge,
Mm-hmm.
which is sort of a fishing and hunting lodge on Castle Lake,
Mm-hmm.
Castles Lake, which is part of a 4-lake chain: Castles Lake, Rabbit Lake, Snake Lake, and Opashkong.
Mm.
And it's a big lake system actually. It's a beautiful place to go on a canoe trip. Amazing fishing. I actually think that the fishing for walleye and bass
Walleye, yeah.
is better over there than it is in Lake Temagami.
Yeah.
But he's also an old-time trapper, so he's got a few trap lines, and he's been doing that since I think 1984.
well, he looks like it.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
he looks like a rugged.
he's a
Oh, yeah.
gri-
He's a
grizzled dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He
so,
spent some time in the woods.
big time.
Yeah.
spend some time lost in the woods
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I remember the first time I had, well, one of the first times I had venison was with you, and it was a bit of what Trapper Doug gave you that you cured, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
First time we had venison. Oh no, that was a deer he shot. Was it? Oh, is that the time we cooked it on the green egg?
Yeah.
I think you hunted that one,
Was that you hunting that one?
and then we had pork after.
'Cause I remember I had something from Trapper
Oh,
Doug.
we got
What
a
was
venison from my hunting trip
Oh, okay.
earlier in the season.
Yeah.
That was when we were at the first time you guys came up.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the cottage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Anyways.
We had so much Bob Cajun.
That was ridiculous.
That was great.
That was a good time.
That was
Temagami's a
amazing.
party, man. You're like in the middle of
It
nowhere,
is.
but it's a party.
When
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys got
Yeah.
out of the car and it looked like you guys were carrying bags of cement from Home Depot, and then that weight ended up being flats of beer.
It's like, look at all the beer we brought.
I was like, I like
What?
how these guys roll, because you and I.
Yeah, that was the
we-
first time we met.
Yeah, we
Really?
met.
Well.
We met briefly before that, but
Yeah.
then you guys showed up, and it was just like, holy cow!
Beer.
Who are these guys?
We need to do this more often.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, so Thursday morning we get up. Friday morning, sorry. Thursday night we get up there.
Yeah.
Eric and I stay up. Well, maybe a little too late. CBD oil was great though.
Yeah,
By the way,
I gave
put
that
me,
to Doug.
That put me right
Oh, yeah?
out.
Yeah,
And then we wake up. We wait for Yilma. And there's other guys on the trip, right?
yeah. The other guys started
Yeah.
showing
We'll
up,
meet those
and
guys.
we kind of sent them down to the put-in.
So
and
what
they were-
was the pudding? What's like the give us
So-
the skinny on?
Yeah,
on
so
that?
it's unceded treaty land that out of the goodness of his heart, Chief Randy Becker lets us use. And
Love that guy, by the way. Not to
no, Randy's a great guy.
Yeah.
Cool
He's a
dude.
great guy and really chilled out and funny as hell.
knowledgeable.
He's got a lot of bush skill that is. Every time I go for a walk with that guy, I learn something new. He taught me how to make a frying pan out of birch bark and a bunch of branches.
What?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
Work.
yeah, it was pretty interesting. But it's his property or his ancestral land, and he lets us use it. So there's this trail that goes about 800 meters, and the beautiful thing about winter, it's very different than summer. Winter, you don't really have to get that far out there to really get out there. It's a whole different vibe in winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's people that go winter camping on Iceland Lake, which is halfway down the access road, and normally that's just where you.
all
When you're
you
on a
need to
canoe trip, you're there in 20 minutes, and that's just you go through Iceland and you go keep going past it and you hit some portages. But in the winter, that seems like you are on the moon.
Yeah.
So very similar to where we were. If we just went there in the middle of the summer, cars would be going up and down the access road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you get out there.
Perfect
pretty quickly, and you don't want to have a total death march. I mean, our camp last year was almost 2 kilometers, and
Oh, that's far.
you'd get 2/3 of the way there, and someone would be looking at you going, "Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is this normal?" And it's like, yeah, it's a little far, but
We were like 800 meters.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you're in and out quickly, and
Yeah.
and
It's a beautiful walk.
so that's Randy's spot.
Great
and
walk.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's loaded with wildlife tracks sign. You see a lot of wolf sign up there, and it's interesting that the same weekend we were there, that Saturday night, 2 wolves killed a dog on Bear Island, the
right.
First Nations community.
God.
So they sent out this bulletin saying, "Watch out! There's a couple of wolves running around," and we have those wolves up and down our trail all the time. Like you see that sign there. There's a lot of tracks. I know Yilma right now is like, I can't believe I was there
Yeah.
because he loves wolves.
Oh my god.
But you know what? Wolves are interesting. It's a very interesting animal because, I've done a lot of canoe trips, and I am one of those people that when I hear a twig snap in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh shit, there's a bear in the sight, and I get up and I have a look, and it's a little bit intimidating. And I've seen a few bears while out on canoe trips. I've seen tons driving back logging roads. So,
Right.
Yeah.
but you start to learn a little bit about bear behavior, but it's still like they seem a little more rogue. You never know. Wolves, I don't believe will hurt a human being.
Yeah.
And I know there's an exception. People
Yeah.
are going to listen to this and go, that guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
But when you see a wolf,
Yeah.
it's a completely different experience. I've seen wolves twice in my life, and both times I wasn't scared, but I was completely in awe and full of respect, and all the hair on my body. And I got a lot of hair on my
Oh
body.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just
man.
stood on end.
Yeah.
And when it finally sort of looked at me, you're taken aback, and you're like,
Yeah.
holy cow, he knows I'm here. And I'm like, maybe I should just sort of move along a little. But there's never that fear.
Right.
When you're on a portage trail and there's a 300-pound black bear just sort of standing there looking at you, and it stands up on its hind legs and it kind of huffs, you're like, oh shit, is this guy going to charge
That's
me right now?
freaky. Yeah.
And that happens all the time. I mean, you hear about those stories, and Temagami's not
Jesus
very,
Christ.
I don't like to use the word, it's not a quote unquote berry place.
Yeah.
It's not like Algonquin or Killarney where there's just, everyone has that story where, a bear just came in and ravaged our entire campsite. That's that's extraordinarily rare in Temagami because it's less utilized, and the bears aren't patterning campsites.
Or like Algonquin. It's the same kind
Algonquin.
of thing.
I mean, I've got a good friend of mine who was an Algonquin and had to move sites 3 times in one day with his family because a bear just
Wouldn't
Wouldn't leave him alone.
wouldn't leave him alone. And then they managed to somehow contact the MNR, and the MNR came out, the park warden, and they had a shotgun. It was just like this weird experience. And in the 5 years now that we've been doing this, we've had 2 occasions where a bear in sight was I guess a problem. Both times the bear just took off with the food. It was never aggressive.
Yogi.
Yeah.
And the most amazing thing
Stealing
is the
picnic
second
baskets.
time it was 4 young women. They chased the bear down and threw rocks at it and got their food back.
Whoa.
They chased it down.
What?
And they're like, screw this. We're not losing our food. So they brought the barrel back, and the
Good
harness was shredded, and there was a hole in the barrel. So the bear actually, quote unquote bear barrel.
Yeah.
It was able to like rip it open.
Yeah, of course.
Totally not bear proof at all.
No.
They're actually whitewater barrels, those blue
Right.
barrels. But
Yeah,
people call
yeah.
them bear barrels, which I'm always like, it's not a bear
It's because
barrel.
they put them up in the trees, right?
Yeah,
But
that's
but you
right.
know what?
Yeah.
The tree hang,
Yeah.
I think, is bullshit.
Yeah.
I always
Because-
thought that too.
Yeah,
'cause
me
you-
too.
You drive down the Temagami access road and you go by the
Yeah.
dump. The number of times I've seen bears just hanging out in trees, like way up there, you're like, holy cow, there's a bear 40 feet up in that
They
tree.
can figure out the rope system.
They can figure out the rope
Yeah.
system. But
Like-
more importantly, the 2 times in my life I've done bear hangs,
Mm-hmm.
the barrel has almost fallen down and killed the person underneath it.
Underneath, yeah.
Well,
that's the thing, it's
line
like-
snaps or
The thing with it is like if a bear is gonna come around because it smells your food in any way, it's just gonna be hanging out for longer, looking for the barrel, trying to get the barrel down.
yeah, and you know what? A
But
bear
you
can
know?
climb a tree.
Yeah, you're
and
just
these
keeping it around.
They're pretty smart animals.
Yeah.
You're just giving it a pinata.
Yeah, exactly. The more activity.
You know what? I'll tell you what the best thing to do, in my opinion. First of all, always have a nice clean campsite.
Right.
Don't have your raw meat smeared all over your face and all over your stuff. Keep that stuff.
Winter camping's
you know.
fine.
Yeah, winter camping you don't have bears.
Because we had moose all over. I was covered in moose curry.
Yeah, no, you covered it. You don't winter. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Winter, you get a mouse in your tent.
Yeah,
that's kind of what
exactly,
happens in winter.
Yeah.
Right.
But in the summer, all I do is I put all my gear together and you keep it a good distance away from your campsite, but you cover all your pots and pans
Yeah.
all over your stuff. So if something happens, there's this huge kerfuffle and ruckus, and A, you're alerted to it, and B, if a bunch of pots and pans fall down,
That kind of spooks a bear,
it
right?
spooks. You hope it spooks a bear.
Yeah.
But if Yoma's there, the bear will just shred his tongue
Yeah.
and pull him
Yoma.
out by his shoe.
which
Oh,
is
man,
which is
100%.
fine because I'm usually in the same tent usually. So yeah, we walked in. We saw some of the old growth pines.
Yeah, there's
That
some.
was really cool.
Mhm.
Those trees are
They're huge.
huge.
Yeah.
It's that one in particular. I think it's the biggest tree in Temagami.
That's what that's what you're saying, eh?
Yeah, 16-foot
It was
diameter.
amazing.
It's humongous.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and we're right on.
Sorry, 16-foot. I was looking at the wrong tree.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure. You were.
It
yeah.
was.
it's a legit 3 people, arm in arm, right around. it.
Trying to hug the whole thing.
It was huge, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you looked at the wrong tree.
I
The
looked at the
tree
wrong
was
tree.
massive.
And
Yeah.
there's quite a few of them in there too. So it doesn't come up that particular area
Mhm.
isn't on any of those old growth maps.
Oh,
And,
okay.
it has to be considered a stand. So there's got to be more than one. I mean, there's a lot of one-offs of big trees. Even in the middle of the town of Temagami, there's some
Mhm.
enormous white pines. But you have to have lots. And I think there's lots in that area. You just got to get off that trail and start walking, and you'll
Yeah.
find some.
Man, that was a beautiful trail.
That was a great walk. Oh my god,
Yeah.
it was like it was so lovely outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like everything had the little dusting of snow, and it
The light hit it, and
wasn't cold at all. Actually, very far away from cold.
It was the
like
opposite of
hot.
cold.
I was
Yeah.
like, sweating, sweating.
yeah, my feet were sweating.
Yeah. But campsite's on Lake Temagami, so kind of the idea was we were gonna hang out, and ice fish.
Yeah.
Like the
Experience Temagami in the winter.
Temagami in the winter, and the tents. Well, I mean, what can I say about the tents?
Tents are dope.
They're pioneer tents, right? That's what is that the classification of?
Rag
Kansas.
Well,
hunters.
one of them would be
Canvas.
considered a walled prospector tent or a wall tent.
Which
Okay.
one was that? The one I
That was the
in?
one you were in.
Yeah. Because I could
Roosevelt.
stand up.
You can stand
yeah.
up, and it
And Yoma's
it's
tall.
typically rectangular. And the other one is a circular bell tent. And it's sort of the idea between the two tents, and that's why we call one the Ragnar and the other one is the Roosevelt. One is supposed to be like more of a Viking chieftain tent. And I'm trying to say that in a sexy way. The Viking chieftain tent.
I get that vibe from
And
it.
the other one is the Roosevelt, which is more of like a Teddy Roosevelt sort of turn of the century. We're
Yeah.
going camping, and you got 100 people carrying your stuff for you.
Yeah.
right.
But it's that one that one time a year. Like if we're going on a summer trip, we're not going to stay in one place. We want lightweight gear. We're going to
Mhm.
get up and travel and portage. When it comes to the winter tent, it's kind of the winter camping experience. It's kind of like the world is your oyster. I'm only going to make this. I'm going to take this as far as I can in terms of the glamping experience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Karen and I were talking the other night, and we said, why don't we not do tents and just put a 30-foot diameter teepee on a platform that can sleep 20 people
I'd
with
be
a fireplace in the middle,
super into that. I'm
with
super
a
into
party
that.
center, like
That'd be sick.
couches and stuff like that.
Yeah,
We got it priced out. It actually might happen.
That'd be
I'm going to say
sick.
it's the new winter camp is likely to be a 900 square foot teepee.
new winter clamp.
Dude, that would be sick.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
already
it'd be
kind of a
amazing.
glamping
Yeah.
street. You walk into the tents. There's the pine boughs, so it smells amazing.
Yeah.
The stove's in the middle, and it's piping hot.
Mm-hmm.
You've got cots.
Mm-hmm.
You're not on the ground, and
No.
those sleeping bags you had were insane.
Yeah, they're nuts.
They're clouds,
But
man.
but
They
picture
might be
a
the warmest
teepee
I've ever been.
the size
in my
of this room.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Oh Jesus!
That's kind of the way to go.
What a piece!
Sick.
You
I
could
think-
imagine how many glamping type things you could take up like 15 yoga.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Persian rug possibilities are
Oh my
endless.
god, I
Yeah.
love that.
No, absolutely.
If you pump the
rugs.
fire, you could like do hot yoga classes
Yeah.
in there.
The
This is
rugs,
will.
man.
Yeah.
You can get it this big. You can like,
So it's 30 feet wide.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Right.
that's
Right.
big.
That's big.
Pretty big. If you consider
That's
The-
5 of me.
the Prospector was 16 feet long. So basically 2 of those in every direction.
That's big.
That's a big tent.
Yeah.
Like the
and-
tents though are cool. There's something to be said about the tent experience for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But like the teepee thing, winter camping,
I
you
don't-
want to be as comfortable
They
as
look
It was
like-
good. I was fine, but I like sleeping with my friends. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
You miss me?
We know you like
Yeah.
sleeping with your friends.
You miss me a lot.
Yeah. I don't know these guys, and they're nice, but they. Oh.
You had a nice group of guys there in your
Did you
little
feel
tent.
excluded?
No, I just like.
He felt
I like waking up in the morning and laughing and joking and making fun of.
We did do that.
Yeah,
We did a lot.
It
That's
was
what I
Aldo,
miss.
me, and
Yeah.
Eric and
Yeah.
Ragnar, the bell tent, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Yilma and Roosevelt,
Yeah,
which
and
was
I-
the bigger tent.
And what did I do when I left the Roosevelt? I came right into your
Well,
tent.
I'm
What are we-
alone.
I
I'm
know.
alone in the Ragnar this weekend. You can come
That's
up. and
gonna be-
hang with me.
Okay, cool.
That's gonna be so
Good, man.
fun.
Oh, you know what
though.
I'm bringing up this weekend?
What?
I'm taking the cots out of the Ragnar and I'm putting in a futon.
Oh, sick! You're
Right.
gonna have
Yeah.
such a good sleep.
That
Oh
folds
my
into a
God.
couch. So there's just going to
Oh
be the
my
couch
God.
Yeah.
and then the bed.
So
That's cool.
yeah, and then you also had chairs with
Sheepskin.
sheepskin
Yeah.
Like rugs.
Yeah, they were. That's
That's
amazing.
cool.
Yeah, they
Those
were
were so
pure
sick.
wool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also the aesthetic of those tents. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, modern tents are amazing. Like you can pack them into like your pocket, and they've got all these wacky colors. But going to like arriving into that campsite on snowshoe with your gear in your sled, and then arriving to these pine boughed, thick walled canvas tents, you felt like you were really exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's a difference. I would. Yeah, cool. Give me
And
the,
then
the
you
new
walk in
technology.
and
And
they're
then,
like hot.
you and I felt pretty quickly this is going to get hazy fast.
I was like, "Where's the whiskey, baby?"
But
Yeah, man.
but it one of the most important things is when you bring people in,
Mhm.
especially in the winter, because a lot of people it's the first time they've done it.
Yeah.
It's intimidating.
And it's intimidating. It's scary, especially in a place like Temagami where they look at the forecast and it's going to be minus 30 degrees and
Yeah.
like, what's this going to be like? And when they show up and they see, I get it now.
Mhm.
This is going to be warm. This is going to be nice. This is going to be an experience.
Mhm.
We can play board games or read a book or,
Honestly, just sleep.
eat some good food or have a great sleep.
Oh man, silence out there.
Yeah.
You're it's
Silence is
so
amazing.
peaceful.
Have a walk in the woods.
Yeah.
I thank Randy above and beyond
Absolutely,
for cutting
yeah.
those
Those logs.
those logs.
That was a great moment too,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
the original intention, if it was going to be colder, I was just going to sled in a whole pile of hardwood.
right.
Mhm.
And had we been burning hardwood in those stoves, everyone would have been heated out of their tents.
No problem, right?
We would
Yeah.
not.
It was too warm.
So
It's too warm.
Yeah.
there's two problems you can have in winter. You can be too cold or too warm. I
Right.
mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's
Mhm.
true. So when Randy showed up and we just started cutting that Chico tree,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that deadfall, and there was that whole assembly line of people just getting
Yeah, it was
those
great.
rounds out there. That was hilarious. We did what would have taken a week
Yeah.
with a handsaw in about 13 minutes.
Yeah. We so quickly.
Yeah,
so
that was
quickly. And then we had a
amazing.
nice little organized stack of wood.
Yeah.
Like we were.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We
We
nailed
were
yeah.
good.
And that was fun, you know? Like
Yeah.
we go out, find that tree, Randy's chopping it up, we're assembly line, throwing it to a sled, and someone's pulling it back.
Yeah,
was perfect.
And that's part of the fun too.
Yeah.
When you go out in the winter, a lot of people they want to process wood. They
Yeah.
want to bushcraft stuff. They want to make a shelter.
They want to do
wanna
the
build
work.
the fire.
and- yeah.
It's part of
So-
like. Well, I mean, what else are you gonna do?
It's
Yeah.
fun, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of the
Well,
process. Like
I
it's,
know you
it's,
like doing it.
it's about going for the walk. It's about
Yeah.
just experiencing the campsite and
And we didn't hit that trail, the one that
No.
the original intention, which I'll definitely do this weekend.
Yeah, 100%.
It's because I'm not around.
Yeah.
It's the thing is, it's
I'll actually wake up
you're like-
Saturday morning.
well, that was it. You guys ended up like just the two of you guys partied late because it was, you know what?
I'll tell you, we contemplated Friday at about 1 a.m. doing the podcast.
With or without you.
Yeah.
All I
Let's do the
remember,
podcast.
all I remember is everybody kind of crashed, and then I wake up at like
You went
I
to
don't
bed a
know.
little bit earlier, right?
I
'Cause
went
you
to
were
bed
still
earlier because I
feeling-
felt crappy, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to like nip this thing in the bud.
And you
feel
did.
better.
You did.
And I
You
did.
were like a different person next
Felt
day.
great Saturday. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
took some Benylin or whatever it was.
Bunch of Benylin,
Yeah.
and then but I woke up at I don't know like 2, 3 when you guys came back in, and you guys just I wake up to you guys bursting in, and you're just like Mitchie. I'm like, what? You guys are like, it's pouring rain. It's pouring rain outside. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
It was.
And the tarp is like splattering rain. And I'm just like half asleep. I'm like, does this mean we have to evacuate? I was like, I didn't know what the hell was going on. And then you guys are just like laughing, like falling over each other and stuff. And you're like, let's get a fire going in here. And it's like, oh my God, what the fuck's going on?
And I almost died trying to get that fire going.
Yeah, because you kept blowing on it. We were having a good time. I mean, it's a different kind of trip,
Just
right?
like one
like
little.
the trip you're doing this weekend is going to be a lot. It's not like that kind of a
It's
trip.
not like taking.
we were all
It's not like
hanging
taking
out.
us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yo, there you go.
Thanks, man.
So that might.
Hold on. Is that a tag you're wearing?
No.
Oh,
Why?
Tag here.
look like a tag hero.
I should have said yes. It is. The group that I'm taking out this weekend is a father and 2 sons, 2 teenagers,
Yeah.
and he's about my age. I've never met him before,
Mm-hmm.
and his kids I think are 14 and 12, something like that. The only requirement. So I've been going back and forth with them, saying, "So are there any dietary restrictions?" Or he says, "Nope, none. Very open-minded palates, but they're at the age where it's volume."
Mm-hmm.
So we've made a lot of food.
Just
well,
tons
you
of food.
made
Yeah.
a lot of. You had like 12 mouths to feed.
Yeah. So, but I've kind of gone over the top here with these guys because
Yeah.
there's something about being 14. I don't know if you remember when you're 14, it's just like you could go and have 8 hamburgers and
Yeah.
then go home and have dinner.
Dude, I'm still
Yilma
like that.
still does that.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love
So-
to eat.
Lots
prepared.
of food's coming out. I'm excited to meet these guys, and
Yeah.
and we're gonna go fishing. We're gonna go snowshoeing,
Yeah.
and I'm expecting it to be a really good weekend. It's
gonna
gonna
be
be
fun.
cold,
It's
really cold.
It's going to be a legit
legit cold.
camping cold.
And
Winter
again,
camping.
I think that adds to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Part
I
of
mean,
it.
it's the most real experience.
Part of it. Yeah. We woke up on the Saturday to wet snow. All day.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, that's when I started getting the fires going. To your point, people like building fires, and I was just like, I just want to build some fires.
Yeah.
I went and building fires with the pine, and it was
That's
all
good because
kind
I
of
was
wet.
100% useless.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, stay in the bag.
yeah, Aldo and I were very effective
I know
Saturday
you guys.
morning.
You guys were both just like, "Oh God, no!"
I was like, we have made a huge mistake.
Why?
It was great
Why
though.
did
Like
that happen?
you took Advil. We kind of waited around for a bit, and then when we finally got going, it was like,
I
all
think
right.
I just poured the Advil right down my mouth.
You just
Like,
drank
I opened it up
the-
with like 8 Advil
Cured
tablets
ya.
right down.
I
You're
couldn't.
great.
I could have eaten all the snow in Temagami and not been hydrated. I was wrecked.
But once you guys got going, then it was like, okay, we're gonna just
yeah.
eat food for 3 hours,
That did happen.
which was great.
That's what you got to do. You
Yeah.
just have to.
You started making
Yeah.
food and you
Started
didn't
cooking.
stop for 3.
You
And the
got it.
food was so good,
my
man.
God.
Honestly,
so
you
good.
like nailed the food. It's like one of those things where it's like, oh, it's gonna be fine. But it was like, no, like this is the kind of stuff I would just eat at home.
Dude, the naan bread and the mousse.
Man, the
The coconut,
soup?
curry soup.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
Dude,
it was so good.
Yeah, no, these are. It's important to.
They're for
have
real
good
deal
food.
meals.
It's for real.
Yeah.
The coconut corn curry chowder, I think that's what we'll call it.
hmm
That's going to be on our summer menu, and it's going to be dehydrated. So that's actually
Whoa.
going to be whizzed up and turned into a powder that you just put boiling water in and
Okay.
rehydrate.
Well, it's pretty cool. You vac packed everything,
Yeah.
which was awesome because then you don't have any prep in
Mhm.
the woods, which is nice.
Well, everything in winter is 10 times harder.
Right.
Even if it's a warmer weekend like the one that we had.
Yeah.
Things like washing big pots, doing dishes, that's
Mhm.
all a huge pain.
hmm
And
Mhm.
it you really feel it when it's minus 30 and you're trying to do dishes and
God.
your hands are wet and that kind of thing. So the way that I like to do winter is you vac seal things.
hmm
You pre-prep the food, you vac seal it, and you boil it in the bag. And these are all PVC-free sous vide bags.
Yep.
Yep.
That let us do that. And then when you're serving it, it's cleaner. Everything is
Yeah.
cleaner. Also, it's really important in winter. that you deal with sanitation and hygiene, because
Right.
you don't quite have that ability to clean up like you do in summer. So
Right.
you guys notice that.
Oh, you had the gloves.
I had the nitrile gloves. I'm changing them constantly. Like, you just have to make sure that everyone gets something that
Yeah,
Seeing the
we did have
gloves-
Purell and
Seeing the gloves is a huge thing, man.
and
It's all the little things.
it's a good summer thing too when you're preparing for a big group of people. Immediately when they see that you put nitrile gloves on, and it's kind of a code thing too. Like, you do that, and you know that you've isolated whatever germs you have, and you're not putting that into the food. It's important to food safety, food handling. Very important in the bush. It's the next sort of thing to come out with standards. There's still no standards for bush food preparation.
That's the
for
thing.
tripping. You got it in restaurants. You got it in hotels. You got it in community centers and
Schools.
and old age homes and schools. Yeah. And it's the next thing down the line. And I find that the really good operators are self-regulating that thing now. So you'll see, places like Temagami Outfitting or Black Feather. We're always wearing those gloves when we're doing stuff, just to make sure that it comes across as a clean situation.
Yeah,
plus
I mean,
the Purell that's on the counter.
I think
all the
it's
time.
great that you're thinking about that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it just makes it so. It's just like that. It's just such a nice thing to see from when you're on a trip outfitting.
And you know what? It's also
food,
easier to to prepare food. So if you've got the gloves on, you're handling the food. You can flip stuff with your hands, and it's not.
It's just the food is such an important thing,
also, it's good for your hands,
think
like in
about.
terms of like wetness, and it's cold outside.
Yeah.
And you're like,
It's
keep
just
a little that
the
much-
food is
yeah.
part of a trip that you're just like, I'm sure it'll be what it is, but it was so good.
the food was so good,
So
dude.
good. The
I just wish we had
curry.
pancakes.
We
That
had
was
a
the only
moot.
thing.
Oh, pancakes! You don't forget those pancakes, man.
That was the one thing the trip was missing.
Can't believe we forgot coffee too. That was kind of a big.
Coffee and pancakes. It was funny, that huge stack of pancakes.
You had so many
many
pancakes.
pancakes.
A lot of
Every
pancakes.
time I opened up that cooler, it was
Yeah.
like, hey, you guys see the pancakes? Pancakes are huge. I do regret not bringing 2 packs of bacon, though. I
Bacon
think
was great.
The bacon was great,
Dude.
but I think everyone needed 3 times the amount of bacon that I brought.
The size of the bacon.
Thick bacon.
Thick.
They were almost bacon steaks.
Yes.
I don't know.
Steakins.
I think the first time you guys came up,
Yeah.
I'd
Yes, you had
all that
homemade.
bacon, and I learned from that experience. I smoked 4 pork bellies into each bacon package was about the size of like a novel, you know.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
learned very quickly after I made all that bacon, you can't have a bacon steak.
No.
Because I thought I would cook like a 2-inch thick, but like eat a piece of bacon the size of a strip loin.
Like when you were curing up your own.
It doesn't work.
It's-
It's gross.
Was it gross?
Bacon is meant to be cut at the most
Yeah.
a 1/4 inch thick.
Oh,
So you
into
did it.
strips.
You
Yeah, I
did it at
tried to
home.
have a bacon steak. No,
It's not good.
no.
A bacon steak.
Steakin'.
Yeah, and you
That's so
can't
good.
do it with smoked salmon either. You can have too
No?
much of a good
Oh.
thing. Smoked
yeah.
salmon's the
Smoked
same.
salmon cannot be thick. I've
No,
learned that
No,
lesson.
you can't.
as
You
well.
gotta,
You
gotta
can't
have
have a
it
big fat cube of it.
It's
No
too
thanks.
much. Yeah.
No.
It's mouth.
Listen, am I the only person that brings wet wipes when I go camping?
Yes.
I spilled beer on my computer.
Just to make that joke.
Just to make the
Yeah.
joke.
Sacrifice all
because
for jokes.
I feel like it. Firstly, it's biodegradable. The ones I bring. You wash your face. You don't have to go to the lake. It's right there. It's clean. I don't understand why no one else
still
brings
talking
it.
about
Wet
bacon?
wipes are huge.
They're amazing.
If it's a biodegradable one,
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Are
The
they?
problem with wet wipes is most people just go to Costco and they buy that package of wet wipes, which it's the same thing as throwing a plastic bag in the forest. You got to make sure they're the ones that break down
Yeah, of course.
and they're legit. But nothing beats a wet wipe.
Oh,
you know,
man.
No, I'm saying.
It's true. It is true.
it's
feels so
key,
fresh.
especially in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a wet wipe.
Absolutely.
You know, now that you mention this, I think I'm going to bring some wet wipes for next
Yama
week.
loves his wet wipes.
Oh,
I always
love
make, I always make fun of them, and then I use one, and I'm like,
Yeah,
It's like a shower in a.
Yeah.
I get
I
it.
always like, especially,
And a wipe.
I just do it just underneath my eyes too,
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit. And it's
Before
just
you
like-
use it in other places, I hope.
after actually.
After.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just feels great.
I love used wet wipes.
So yeah, the second day was mild. We all hit the ice and got to some ice fishing.
Yeah.
The group of guys that we were with, they had hooked and not landed a fish on the first before lunch, and then after lunch, none of us hooked anything.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We drilled a lot of holes. Yuma learned how to drill a hole.
We only fished for like maybe a couple hours. We could have definitely fished harder, but again, it was that Saturday hangover. Like, eat some food, take it easy.
And you know what?
Sorry,
go ahead, Yama.
Oh, you go.
I was gonna say let's just call it like it is. Walleye fishing in the winter is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Walleye, they barely bite. You
Yeah.
don't even know you have one on. The slightest amount of slack, they spit the hook.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hit it. You
Yeah,
know,
they're
it's
not,
not-
they're not
you know,
smoking.
when you catch a laker through the ice, it's like wow. It sets the hook itself.
Yeah.
Walleye is just a very finicky fish, and it's the same thing in the summer. I'm
Yeah.
not a big walleye fisherman.
Yeah.
I find
Probably
it's a
the fish I've caught
lot
the least.
a lot of work
Mm-hmm.
for a fish that, to be honest, is not a great fighter.
Mm.
They're a little bit of a log. You pull them up, unless you have one that's like 15 pounds.
Unless you have one that's like 35 inches
Yeah.
on the Ottawapiskat River.
Yeah, sure.
But ice fishing, so I've caught tons of walleye ice fishing on the Ottawa River.
Uh-huh.
And the thing with that is two things. One, if you're stationary and you're just hoping the fish will come to you, put in some time and have bait, like actual minnows, because then you're just going to be sitting there, right? The other thing is try to find the fish. If you know where those fish are, then you can be more successful at it. But that's basically what you got to do, right? So it's either a ton of work or like just a ton of time and bait. So it's ice fishing is like that anyway, right? Because you can't it's not easy to just like pick up and go. You gotta trek across the ice, punch a hole. Is this a spot? No. Okay. Try to find another one.
You know what's weird about fishing through the ice for me? I catch way more fish in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I catch bigger and better fish in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every monster that I've caught has
Ice
been through
fishing.
the ice.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
You know, I caught a 26-pound laker on.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was enormous. I should.
That's
I'll
huge.
post the picture. It's huge.
Where was that?
I'd let Kempenfeld Bay, Lake Simcoe,
Wow.
and I've caught it 10-pound lakers through the ice. Lots of big 5-6 pound whitefish,
Yeah.
Jeez.
pike,
Mm-hmm.
and it just seems like the fish are aggressive. They're hungry,
Mm-hmm.
but you can go all day and catch one fish. Whereas on Lake Temagami, you know, you run that shoreline, you can catch your limit of bass if you're eating them, keeping them
Yeah.
in the first 10 minutes of your day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people think that the bass season on Lake Temagami should be open year round.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Because of how plentiful it is? Or
plentiful. I'm thinking it's an invasive species, maybe from 100 years ago. Some people put them in there, but you know, you get that far north, bass I don't think are supposed to be there.
Just
Right.
north of you, and because you're in zone 10, just north of you in zone 8,
I think we're in zone 11.
zone 11, sorry, because zone 10's Sudbury.
Yeah.
Zone 11, they actually changed smallmouth regs. I was actually reading them today, oddly enough. A friend was asking me about them. Zone 11, where you are, now it's open January to March, closes from March to the third weekend in May, and then it's just open.
Oh, so bass is open third weekend in May instead of third weekend
Yeah, here,
in
let
June.
me, can I double, let me,
Yeah, that
I
is
just,
very new.
I just read that today, yeah, because I was like, oh, there must be some, there's always some new regulations.
At Elk Lake, you guys found some lakes that had,
Oh, some great smallmouth fishing.
but different regs too.
So that's what I was about to say. Zone 8 just north of you, which is where Elk Lake, our friends at Elk Lake are in, and that's bass is open all year.
That's so weird.
So
And-
if you look at the regulations map and the fisheries management zones, where you are, there's 11 beside you, which is just west of you, is like the Sudbury zone, like that's where Killarney would be, and then there's 8, which is north of you, yeah. Zone 10 follows the same as Southern Ontario, which is open the third week of June, third Saturday in June, whereas you have new regulations now. And zone 8 is still the same, open all year round for bass, largemouth.
So
and
what you're
smallmouth.
telling me is if on Saturday I pull in a massive bass, it's
You're-
go time.
Yeah, if you want.
Oh, I'm gonna read up on that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do it right now, baby. I'm popping it
Let's
up.
do some fact checks.
Facts,
There you go.
live fact checking.
Hey. Look at
That's
that.
like the X Files.
You know what? That would have been cool if people didn't laugh and act like it was a big deal.
I know, it would have been
That's like-
cool.
That's real production.
That
there.
was perfect production. You're
Yeah.
right. Shit.
It should have just been normal.
God dang. Well, next time. I just got this. Like, this is the first time we're recording on this new puppy. It's got me all jazzed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should. It
Yeah.
should jazz you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So here you're talking. Are we talking? Just want to talk Lake Temagami?
Yep.
You're right. It's in red, so anything in red is the regulation has changed. Season, January 1 to third Sunday in March. So you got the window until the
For
third
smallmouth.
Sunday in March.
That's
and
smallmouth?
then and largemouth.
Okay.
Reopens the third Saturday in May
That's
to
brand new.
to December 31st.
Wow.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So it used to be third Saturday in June
Mhm.
to September 30th. That's huge.
Now let's see. Now we have to look at because there's always special There's also like exceptions and to any anything. There's exceptions to any rule.
Yeah.
So let me just look up if
Blaster.
there's Lake Temagami has any different rules.
Yeah.
Lake Temagami. Lake trout open February 15th to
Yeah.
third Sunday in March, and third Saturday in May to September 30th.
That's the same.
Okay, that's the same.
Yeah.
You can only keep 2 fish.
Same.
Okay.
No slot for Lakers either, I don't think.
There is not more than 1 greater than 50 centimeters.
I believe that's new.
And conservation, you can only keep 1. And then from February 15th to the third Sunday in March, is that the same? Yeah, it's the same.
Mhm.
That was
Oh,
controversial.
you can't keep anything. You can't keep any lake trout with a sportsman or a conservation license the day after Labor Day to September 30th. Is that protecting their spawning time?
Interesting. And then do they open up again September 30th to...
Mm-hmm.
That might be new.
Well,
Is
there you
that
go.
not in red?
Yeah, that's in red.
Yeah, that's new because it used to close September 30th and then close.
Last new thing about Lake Temagami, if anybody cares. Fish sanctuary. No fishing from Monday after third Sunday in March to June 15 in a few
Yeah,
areas.
that's the Red Squirrel Road Net Lake area.
Gull Creek,
Yeah.
Gull Lake,
And then Net Lake.
Cococo Bay,
Yeah.
Briggs, and Spawning Lake, including all the waters of Spawning Bay and Loon Bay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your those are your. There are also a bunch of other exceptions here.
I mean,
but
it's a huge body of water. There's exceptions everywhere.
It's a huge fisheries management zone is huge, but it seems that your largemouth and smallmouth bass season is different this year.
It is.
So that means we've all learned something.
There you go.
January 1st to the third Sunday in March. So if you catch a bass this weekend, you are good to go,
Now,
brother.
here's the funny thing. So when you're bass fishing,
Mm.
it doesn't matter what you do.
Mhm.
Bass love nothing more than crayfish.
They love a cray.
If that
love a cray.
water is below 56 degrees Fahrenheit,
Mhm.
they'll just look at a crayfish. They won't take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bass turn on
Yeah.
56 degrees in Fahrenheit and up.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So does it even matter? Like, that's kind of what you have to ask yourself. So,
Yeah, I don't know.
you know, you tell me I'm going to go bass fishing in January on Lake Temagami. No,
Yeah,
they're
it
not
doesn't
going to do
sound-
it. And,
But I've seen people
you know,
do it in Quebec. And
I
it's like,
have fished Lake Temagami in the winter
Yeah.
every year since 2003
Yeah.
in places where traditionally people would catch bass. And
Yeah.
we're catching lake trout and we're catching whitefish, occasional pike, occasional walleye. Never in the 20 some odd trips and lots of dudes. I mean, times where there are 10, 15 guys fishing in different huts.
Yeah.
And I'll include Lake Simcoe on this. That one trip I took out with 26 guys fishing for 4 days.
Yeah.
Has anyone that I've ever seen caught a bass in
Yep.
the winter?
Agreed.
Yeah.
I've
Agreed.
never pulled a bass out of the ice.
I,
fishing
I've
net.
never pulled a
I
bass.
think they should just say it's open year round because you're not gonna touch
No
them.
one's gonna catch them.
The
No
most
one's gonna
important
catch
thing when
them
it
either.
comes to bass, and here's the weird
Is the
thing.
spring.
So the fact that it's now open between the third weekend in May and right through their spawn,
Yeah, right through the
Yeah.
spawn.
that's insane because if you've ever targeted another fish and come across bass
On the
during their
spawn?
spawn, it's
So aggressive.
It's
Oh, so aggressive.
insane.
Yeah.
It is insane, and you're catching these big females that are
Mhm.
just nuts.
Mhm.
And the
Oh, yeah.
second you pull them off their nest,
Yeah.
those stupid little rock bass come in and they eat every egg.
Or the pike or anything. yeah.
Pike don't do it
They don't?
apparently. No, apparently the number one enemy to smallmouth, and this is all coming from Doug, by the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
is rock bass. So You get that female off of her nest.
Yeah.
Rock bass comes in and sucks up all the eggs.
Brutal.
And the reason he loves pike so much, and he puts them back. He's not a big pike guy, even though I think pike is the best tasting fish there is when it's filleted properly.
Yeah.
I've
Nothing's
had some
better.
good pike.
Oh.
I've had very good pike.
Yeah, so
Just hard to clean.
But they're the only fish that are predatory on rock bass.
Right, eat them up.
Smallies don't eat them. Lakers don't eat them. Pike love rock bass.
Yeah.
So, we're pulling pike out of the lake, and that rock bass population is going to increase. Rock bass is also a great tasting panfish. So there's no reason not to eat rock bass. But you will never, ever, ever see Doug put a rock bass back in the lake. Ever.
Yeah.
It can be tiny, small. He's like puts it on the ground, steps on its head.
Launches.
It's heartless.
I've
brutal.
I've heard people doing that.
Yeah.
My buddy does
Lord,
that too.
that's ruthless.
Because it eats the eggs.
Yeah.
I've heard that. That reminds me of a story. I was with Aldo when we were on the Maitland steelheading, and I thought I had a steelhead, but it was a female on the red accidentally caught. And that fight, like, I was yelling across the river, across the Maitland, I got a steelhead, because it was just so powerful how aggressive these females.
He also caught some snow and thought it was a pike this current weekend. But
Oh yeah, that was fun. Remember that when you caught the edge of the hole? that was when we were fishing. He's like, we were all reeling up, and he was like, "Frrrsh," and we're like, we turn around and I run to the thing, and he's like, oh, it's just the side of the hole. He caught the ice.
Yoma hooked the ice of his
Well, I
ice
always
fishing
catch
hole.
something, whether I know what it is.
You always
or
catch
not.
something, baby.
I always catch something.
I'm always catching. I'm always
I've got to
catching
tell
something.
you, we were on Jumping Caribou Lake. This
Yeah.
would have been like 15 years ago, and it's a big sort of 8-man hut, and it's the middle of the night. And one thing that is amazing about Lake Temagami and fishing after dark is burbot.
Oh yeah.
Ling. Some people call them ling
Yeah.
cod,
Mhm.
burbot, eel pout, lawyer's fish.
They're
It's
tasty
got a
fish.
bunch of names. And
big. We had bourbon on our lake in north of Ottawa, and that's just all anybody kept. Ever
And
if you could, they
it's
were just gone.
amazing eating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's considered a coarse fish.
Mhm.
So there's no limits on them. They're not even in the reg. You could commercial fish them if you wanted. And
Tasty?
amazing.
Oh, so
Yeah.
like
They're
the
amazing.
tastiest.
You
tastiest.
clean them like a catfish. You sort of hold the face and you
Skin.
peel the skin, and
Yeah.
it's a very easy fish to clean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super easy. Anyways, we're all in this hut. It's like 1 a.m, and we've been pulling ling in for hours.
Yeah.
And we were all excited. We're gonna have this huge ling fry the next morning. There's about 15 of us, and then out of nowhere, my buddy's rod, he's got one of those little sort of, Rapala ice
Yeah.
fishing rods, and just standing there, and it bends in half.
Oh man.
It bends in half. We're like, oh my God, this is either a 40-pound ling or
Yeah.
this is a cruising laker or
Yeah.
big pike or something like that. And he's reeling it in and letting line out and reeling it in and letting line out. And we're like, oh my God, this is going to be incredible. This is going to be a fish. And when we got it to the hole, it was a tree branch.
Whoa.
And we have the whole thing on video.
Oh,
We've got
amazing.
this guy with the net like, oh my God, here it comes. It's a branch.
What? That's amazing.
But it was weird how it was
like
so heavy.
set,
It felt
yeah.
like it was going for a run.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
He'd drag it back in. Totally bizarre. I think it could be worth a post on podcaster.ca
Yeah.
on the SoFly podcast channel.
I think so. That sounds good.
Podcaster.ca.
Yeah.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like, it's actually kind of reaffirming in a way, because it's like any times, I saw the new Fly Fish today actually posted like a bit of a meme on the Facebook. They were like, oh, here, it was like a picture of that 40-pound pike that you caught or hooked into, and it was just like a deadhead in the water.
Oh, right.
And it's just like, yeah, that's kind of reaffirming, because sometimes, I mean, I've lost fish that I'm like, that was the biggest fish I've ever caught in my life. Hopefully it was just a log, because like I stay up at night thinking about those fish, Like
Yeah.
they got away, and like, man. But knowing that it's probably like a rock, it's kind of nice to know.
I'd like to think it's a giant fish.
Yeah, me too.
I like knowing that it's not, because I didn't miss it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I once I think Scugog is still a sanctuary. Do you know if it is or not?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Skugong?
Well, we
I fished
fished it a year or two before they
Yeah.
closed it down, and I'm out there with my friend, and they've got muskie in that lake, and we
Yeah.
caught a few walleye,
Huge
and
largemouth too.
all of a sudden my rod, it just burnt my spool, pulled everything out, drag line gone.
Yeah,
It emptied my reel,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
like
a big
it was
fish.
out of a movie.
It's probably musky.
It had to have been a muskie.
Yeah.
And nothing, and we're fishing for walleye, so we've got like 4-pound test, with
Yeah.
a little bit of a
Yeah,
leader.
Sure.
And it just took my whole line.
Jesus.
Gone. Had to respool and everything.
Oh God.
It's
There you
a Lake Scugog in 2016. There's a fishing moratorium on,
Yeah.
but for walleye and pickerel.
Yeah.
Just for walleye and pickerel. So their crappie season is still open there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And cormorants.
According to
Cormorant season.
Okay, yeah. According to I'm on ScugogLakeStewards.com.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know they closed that lake down.
Nice.
So.
Well, it was one heck of a weekend.
It was as magic.
Yeah.
That trip was
awesome.
magic.
We've digressed a whole pile.
We have.
down
It's
this,
been, but you know what?
this
That's always the
conversation.
case when we get together, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's
We
good. We
just
talked
chat
about
and chat.
fishing. We talked about
Yeah.
Temagami in general.
I kind of do want to do. I have a Mitchie's Fishies 5 that I do every show.
Do I want Mitchie's fishy?
Have we ever Mitchie's Fished you?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I do.
thought
Okay.
You didn't when you.
Let's talk about
I
this.
don't know if I did.
Did you do
Definitely
it
not
on
when we
the,
met the first time.
but the Les Stroud episode?
Yeah, but that was less Stroud.
That was
We
less
did.
Stroud.
We
I don't know if
Yeah,
it
you
was
would have
okay.
Mitchie's fishy.
Less.
Yeah.
Mitchie's fishies. Less
Yeah.
Stroud.
Well, I don't know if we ever did, but I'm actually tweaked these Mitchie's Fishies a little bit for
Oh.
you specifically
Okay.
because
New for 2020.
just for Eric,
Nice.
just for Eric. Yelma, why are you looking at me like that? Okay, new effects.
You gotta let it fade out a little so it doesn't sound so abrupt when it ends.
Oh, yeah, I
let
guess
it
you could
fade
use
out.
you could
The red
you'd
one?
have to, no, yeah, use it definitely.
Fuck you, Yelma. That one's great. I love that one. I pre-recorded that the other day. Fuck you, Yelma. I think it's great. I was
Can I
like,
hit it?
yeah. Fuck you, Yelma. I pre-recorded it the other day.
He was gonna have a heart attack.
When I learned you could pre-record it, I was like, oh, perfect. Okay, so I rewrote these. There's one of them that is the same as every single one is the first one, and it's what is your favorite fish and why? And if we've asked you these before, I can't remember. I don't think we did, but hey, you know what?
Remember
Let's
this?
toss it in.
You know what? I'm just gonna say a pike, and the
Yeah.
reason it's a pike.
Yeah.
Every single time in my life I've caught a pike, I'm always surprised.
Yeah. I was like,
I'm
oh,
always surprised.
a pike.
I kind of never go out of my way to go pike fishing,
yeah.
and when I do, I'm surprised when I catch one. So it's a pike. I'm always excited. It's like this
Yeah.
weird-looking prehistoric fish, and
They are super
I
cool.
think in other parts of the world,
Battle.
they're like they got those crazy pike fish over there in
Yep.
North America, and
Oh, it's a battle.
it's yeah.
I would say a pike is like pretty representative of yourself too.
And you guys have caught some monster pike.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Hardy fish, man. Teeth on them, backs on them,
Yeah.
shoulders on them,
I love
Eyes.
after that trip.
eyes, spots,
Tails.
noses, fins.
I almost had to go
Teeth.
to the emergency room once from a pike on Lake Simcoe.
Oh no.
What?
Yeah, I just
A lot of
I,
Lake
I-
Simcoe talk. I like
I
this.
didn't have pliers to get the.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I kind of put my hand
Oh,
in there, and
yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah.
slowly
yeah.
closed its mouth right on my hand, and then
Oh,
I'm trying
God.
to pry its mouth open, and then I had a case of pike hand after.
Oh god, pike hand's the
yeah,
worst, man.
it is the
Yeah.
worst.
I got
Ball
pike
hand.
hand I got pike hand in Attawapscat.
Yeah.
They're razor sharp teeth.
Well, you could get pike head in Attawapscat. Like
You
you could
could.
fit your, it's like one of those postcards. Like, look at Mitchie, he's got his
There's-
whole
he's
head
got his
inside
head
the
on
pike.
pike's
What
Yeah.
the
So
size
big.
that you got?
They're so
Oh, it closed on his head.
Yeah.
There's pike like that in Temagami.
Yeah, there are.
There
Oh,
has
yeah.
to be
There
somewhere.
Oh,
are.
yeah.
Oh, there are, and there's Lakers like that.
Yeah.
They every now and then, someone puts a picture up on Temagami Talk, and
Yeah.
it's a 40-pound Laker, or there's a 20-pound pike. You see these
Crazy.
things. Yeah.
I,
mean-
feel like on your island, that river just behind,
Yeah.
So
like that-
fishy.
oh my, so fishy.
You know what? You'll see the pike there in the spring when they're sunning themselves.
Yeah.
But
Right.
as soon as that temperature comes up,
Right.
they're gone from there. So if I'm going to go pike fishing down by that creek,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to do it right at ice out because they're
Yeah.
looking for that shallow
It's true.
water with some sun, and they're kind
Yeah.
of basking in
Yeah.
a little. But when they're basking in the sun,
Yeah.
they don't even move. Have you ever seen one basking before and you're kind of just casting?
Oh,
and you,
yes.
you even hit it with your lure and it
Oh, yeah.
doesn't
It
move.
doesn't move.
Musky
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so
Yeah.
frustrating. Number 2, if you could go anywhere in Temagami right now, where would you go and why? Let's assume that it's the best time of year to go to that spot. Doesn't have to be winter.
Good question.
Favorite place?
What am I fishing there, or am I?
Whatever you want. What do you want to do when you go out in Temagami? Is it a fishing thing, or is it just a paddling thing, or is it a
I would say if you could drop me anywhere in Temagami,
Mhm.
it would probably be Center Falls
Center
on the
Falls?
north branch of the Lady Evelyn River.
Okay.
Mm.
Did you guys go there on that
No.
last trip?
No,
No, we
it's part of the trout streams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never caught a trout there in my life. Been through there a bunch of times. There are some places you can, but that area,
Mhm.
specifically Center Falls, is like nowhere else in the world. So you got this amazing campsite right beside this canyon,
Mhm.
and there's waterfalls coming from multiple drops, and then you can put on your life jacket and put another one on like a diaper and go down these chutes like a
Oh, that's
water
cool.
slide, and it's just amazing. It's
Oh,
an
man.
amazing place to spend 24 hours.
That
That
sounds
sounds so much
sick.
fun.
Yeah. You can't beat it.
We did that
I'd
at
love
High-
to see that.
We did that at High Falls in Algonquin Park.
Yeah.
We put
Yeah,
on-
the
put on-
otter slides.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Very similar to that.
yeah.
That's so cool.
So much fun. Put your life jacket on as a little diaper.
But
Man.
the portage to get out of there,
Yeah.
because typically it's mid portage going from, I think it's Willow Island Lake or Franks Falls. You come out of Chris Willis, Willow Island, then up Franks Falls into Center Falls, and to get out of there to continue on the north branch of the Lady Eve, it's a death march.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of gauge people. If they tell me they've done that, it helps me plan trips with them. Like, oh, you've been through Center Falls before. You know
Then
that
you know.
ascent there. Like, you can handle a whole bunch of different things. So it's kind of, for me, it's a metric of what people are capable of.
So it's not
Right.
something you would just first time out, go check that out.
Yeah, a lot of people will go in there and they'll take some young kids and they'll just go in and then come back out. They won't continue through and then go
Right.
down the staircase route, which takes you down the South Lady Evelyn, which is Bridal Veil Falls and Helen's Falls and Frank's Fall or Fat Man's Falls, Cabin Falls, where Hap Wilson's place is.
Yeah.
And that's a really challenging portage trip. And the portages are short, but they're craggy and steep.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of you got to sort of go through it in one day. It's like 11 pretty rough portages, and at the end of that day, you're a mess. But it's worth it because everywhere you're going is like Lord Elrond's castle from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm gonna
So
watch that
epic.
tonight while I do some editing.
well, the waterfalls. That's the waterfalls where his castle is.
Yeah.
That's kind of Bridal Veil Falls to
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
cool.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
cool.
Beautiful.
Okay. I would need to see that place.
Yeah.
That sounds rad.
Well, we can go there. It's called the Trout Streams,
yeah.
and people tell me there's trout there. I've been through there so many times. We've caught other fish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never caught a brookie there ever.
Maybe at one point it was, maybe
What have you
No,
caught?
but you kind of catch bass,
Yeah.
pike.
kind of warm water.
People catch river chubs and
Yeah,
stuff
sure.
like that. But
Mm.
you're going through that area and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
there will be brook trout everywhere
Right.
here.
So
So
fishy.
you
yeah.
actually spend a ton of time and
It's
and-
time wasted almost. Yeah.
Well, it's
You know,
never
waste- not
wasted,
wasted, but
but
like,
it's kind of like, oh, now we got to go because it's getting dark and we have
Right.
3 more portages and
Yeah.
they're
Right,
death
right, right.
defying and we need to get to where we're going to be okay and safe.
right.
So.
Amazing. Okay, number 3. What is your best Temagami memory?
Oh, that's easy. Meeting my wife.
Yeah, that's okay. There you go. That's a good answer.
No, that's easy. So I remember it would
Yeah.
have been 1989 or 1990.
Yeah.
I was a counselor. She was a CIT. I remember her coming off the barge. She was wearing this sort of, I don't even know what you call it. It's kind of like this, an African shirt, like a
Okay.
Kente cloth kind of thing.
multicolored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because she had just been to Africa with her family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, who is this woman?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's by far my best Temagami memory. Nothing even comes close.
Right.
Go.
I remember this
Yeah.
story. CIT. I was a CIT.
Yeah.
Not to ruin the story. Sorry.
You were a camp counselor.
Counselor in training.
Oh, we
Not
didn't
at
talk
all.
about how randomly in the forests of Temagami, 2 people from Trinidad met winter camping.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That
What are
is
the odds of that
Yeah,
happening?
that is amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah, what else to
Yeah. One
say?
of the guys on this trip was
Yeah.
from Trinidad.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was, and we met, and
How
we
much of a
went to camp
smaller world could it
together.
possibly
Did
be?
he end
Like,
up being your first cousin?
He is my guy. He's my
He is
brother.
huge. He is huge. He's a
Yeah.
cop.
He's
which
a
makes
cop.
sense.
He's not only a cop, he's like an investigator.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
if that guy knocks, and he doesn't wear a uniform, right?
Right.
If that guy knocks on your door, you're in shit.
Yeah,
He's a big dude.
he's a big dude. His
Yeah.
thighs
Super
were
nice.
as big as me.
Yeah.
Had lots of cookies to give out, which is great. Yeah. I love cookies, man.
No, Marlon's a great guy.
Yeah, Marlon had a
Super
lot of
cool.
cookies and a lot of Twizzlers.
Twizzlers. Yeah.
And he was
He's a sweet
so
tooth.
nice.
He's a super nice guy. It's
He,
fun.
he was like Terry from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
that big.
Yeah.
He's kind of
Huge.
big, and he's got
Yeah.
2 daughters, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. And then he and I grew up. Well, kind of grew up because we were the same generation, so we
Yeah.
knew the same people in Mississauga, and
Yeah.
yeah,
There you
it's
go.
pretty funny. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, so from Trinidad, we grew up in the same neighborhood in Mississauga, and we met up in Temagami winter camping.
It blew all our minds. When we all put two and two together.
Yeah.
It was like,
We're like, wait a second.
did that just happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This for real?
We're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
And the other guys on the trip, like Uncle Tito, they know
Uncle Tito.
they fish with dope. So some of the guys fly fish with Dopey, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah, there's
Former
some
guest.
crossover.
Everybody's
You
connected.
know what? I love that group. And we haven't really spoken about this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Uncle Tito, Clint,
Yeah.
an amazing guy. That whole group is the most multicultural group of dudes
Yeah.
that come up. And it's amazing to see. And you know, there's been a lot of, MEC caught a lot of flack last year, or was it the summer before, for not being very inclusive in their advertising. So
Right,
They
yeah.
wouldn't,
Right,
they
right.
wouldn't have people of color. They
Mhm.
wouldn't have women. They would. So when that whole campaign started, I was talking about this with John, and we were looking at our own clientele, and that's not our experience.
No. Yeah.
People think that, you know, it's a very sort of waspy
Yeah.
kind of activity, going up canoe tripping and all, you know, all the activities that go along with that.
Yeah.
And that's not at all the case with Temagami Outfitting. We have a lot of different diverse groups.
Yeah.
And that's really accentuated by Uncle Tito's group, which is, you know, we were the United Colors of Benetton.
Yeah. Oh,
That
big
weekend.
time.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, I was a minority that weekend, and the Portuguese dudes from Ottawa were minorities that weekend, and
Yeah.
everybody was a minority.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a real representation of Canada, and you know, I've had good conversations with Clint about this, and what it comes down to is we're confined by geography.
Yeah.
So if we want to get out and we want to recreate, we want to do the things that make us happy and make us feel alive. Doesn't matter if you're black, blue, green, red. We're in Canada, and we're gonna go do those things because they're fun to do, and I'll stand by it. The best woodsmen and bushmen that I know, hands down, are Filipino.
Yeah. Clint.
You can quote me on that. The number of Filipino dudes that Clint has introduced me to
Yeah.
that come up and they build a shelter and they got a fire going in 2 seconds. They're cooking bannock and they're snaring and trapping stuff and they're doing
Yeah.
catching fish and doing all this. Filipinos.
They could have done everything.
I
but
love it.
Am I allowed to say that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I am stereotyping. Like I'm creating the stereotype of Filipino people
Yeah.
as being bushcraft masters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
I think it might just
But
be like
that's
this group. Those guys were hardcore. Like those
Yeah.
guys were good at
Yeah.
what they were doing.
They
Like,
were
They
good.
slept in hammocks.
Clint's setup was sick. Yeah, he slept
They
in a
slept
hammock.
in hammocks.
And I don't know if you've seen have you seen his posts about the
yeah.
hammock
Yeah,
afterwards?
yeah.
It
Yeah.
looks so cozy.
It does
It
look
did.
really
It looked like he
good.
was-
It's quilt underneath. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I want to sleep in that instead of the tent
It
because
kind
it's
of
like this
well,
quilty
let's not go
cocoon.
there.
Yeah,
He
no,
looked
tent was pretty
pretty
good.
warm.
Yeah,
like
he did look
was-
pretty warm though. But
Yeah, he's in there.
I like
Caterpillar.
my tent life.
Yeah,
Tent life
life
was
was
nice.
Tent
good.
life was good.
Yeah.
It's
well,
better in the bag, man.
Yeah, stay in the bag.
Stay in the bag. Life is good.
I wish I was in your tent.
Number four. So this one is, why do you run Temagami Outfitting Co.? Why did you start it up? Why do you do it? Besides a job.
You know, it's a good question, and it's a strange thing to do at the point in your life when you really have to start earning and paying for your kids to do things and pay down mortgages and these kind of things. But to be honest, for Karen and I, in terms of work, it's kind of the only thing that we feel that we've done in the past or we're doing now that gives us meaning. It lets us really think out of the box in terms of the activities and the healthful, the healthy culture and wellness and all that sort of stuff, and people getting outside. And you know, I think the experiential travel is going to be a huge thing. We're moving away from a time in society where things are important. I don't know if you guys feel it too,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
kind of like, you know, if I would have walked through a Best Buy 15 years ago, it would have been like, oh my God, look at all this wicked stuff. And now I'm like, it's all crap.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want any of this stuff. I want, in fact, like
Give me the drone and
everything
leave the
I
rest.
look at, I'm like, okay, so if I get that, how do I get rid of it? It's a weird way to look at things. And
How do I get rid of it? I know. It's a good point.
we've made a lot of sacrifices to create this lifestyle. You know, Karen and I have been apart from each other for long periods of time while I'm up there. And as of last year, she left her job in the restaurant industry, and now she's full-time with me. So, you know, we're a team again, and it's awesome. We're having a great time. It's an amazing thing when you get to wake up with your partner, you know, the love of your life, and then say, so, we got to talk to these people today.
Mm-hmm.
We got this group out here. There's 8 people that want a fully outfitted trip for a week, and let's nail that down. Oh, let's go cook 150 portions of this, all dehydrated. So 24 hours of our day are intertwined. So you really, you kind of become one person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hopefully she doesn't start looking like me.
Yeah.
I want her to keep looking like the way she's looking.
Yeah.
But it's been an amazing thing. It's not without its stresses. There's financial insecurity sometimes because, Bill Swift told me when I bought the company, he says, no one ever made $1 million canoeing in a canoe business. And I've just bought some canoes from him. And I said, Bill, I want to be the first guy to make $1 million in the canoe business. I'm going to try and prove you wrong. He's like, I hope you do. But it's not about money. It's about lifestyle. It's about showing our kids that there's also other things you can do. I was raised in a family where we were always encouraged to do what we wanted to do. And our parents were never like, go do your homework or be home at this time of day or night. And as a result, my 2 brothers and I think we turned out okay. I want to show my own kids that you don't have to sit in a cubicle. You don't have to, do what the man, so to speak, wants you to do. There's a million different ways to skin a cat in this life. And Karen and I, we try to model that for our kids, and this is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Because whenever I tell my friends or new people that I meet, they're like, so what do you do? I think they're expecting me to say something like, oh, I'm in media, or I'm something.
Yeah.
And I say, oh, no, we do this. And they're like, no shit, tell me about that. That's
Yeah.
bizarre. That's weird. So what did you do before that? And then I kind of tell them,
I
was in media.
Yeah, exactly. And
You're a
everybody
band.
in media.
And then
guitar master.
Yeah, and then you say, oh, you make a change, and there was this concept when I was growing up that people that sort of jump around from career to career were unstable and they didn't have their shit together, and I always looked at it like, no, that person became sort of really good at this, and they're like, okay, I'm bored with that now. I want to do something else. I love the people that are jack of all trades.
Yeah.
I love the people that do a whole bunch of different things, and they can kind of walk through a room and talk to people about different things, and they've done all of those things at a really high level.
Right.
Those are the people that I'm drawn to, and I aspire to be one of those people. So that's kind of why we're in Temagami Outfitting. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, I love
It's
it.
a great
Yeah.
answer.
That's super cool.
Great answer. Love that.
Were we making a joke about the skinning the cat thing? Like, have you ever
Yeah.
actually seen someone skin?
No,
we
that was the
me
guy-
and I were all drunk.
so
we're
when-
like, did you
yeah.
ever actually seen somebody skin a cat?
No, that
though?"
was this guy, this lovely kid. When I used to write code, I was at this place called the DM. That was before the DMZ. This was called Bento Box. It was like a co-working coding place, and there was this great kid named Carl, and we were kind of drawn to each other. And he was about 21 or 22 years old, and I used the term. Well, we were talking about code, and he goes, well, I said, Carl, there's many ways to skin a cat because you can do it one way or another. He's like, what did you say? I said, there's many ways to skin a cat. He's like, skin a cat? Like, you're talking about like literally skinning a cat? I'm like, well, it's a saying, Carl. You skin a cat. There's a few different ways to say it. He's like, that's amazing. I've never heard that term before. It's like, that's why I love hanging around with like 20, 21-year-old dudes. It's just like, you can be the coolest person in the world because they don't know anything. So everything that you tell them is new to them.
Yeah, totally.
And that was the case with this kid, Carl. And at the end of the conversation, it's like, well, there probably is really only one way to skin a cat. So I think saying there's many ways to skin a cat is a bullshit thing because it's ironic or there's one way to skin a cat, but you understand the term. But that was, I don't know where we were going with that one.
Love it. Number 5. So there's 2 versions of this one, but I want to ask you this one. I'm going to change it up and ask you this one today because I know already. I think next time we ask you the fly question, because we'll ask you again at some point, we'll give you a book with like a lot of flies and you can pick which fly best represents you. But
Chernobyl ant.
I know that's what it would be right now.
Every brook I've ever caught has been on some sort of
You are a little
ant.
Chernobyl.
I like
ant,
that.
though.
I like that.
I am.
Bushy.
It's my one.
Well, that's your
go-to.
fly then, the Chernobyl ant. But I want to also ask you what paddling route best represents you in Temagami and why.
Whoa.
Is there a route in Temagami that best represents you as a person? And why would that be?
I've done a lot of different routes in Temagami.
I know.
And the one that I kind of always get excited about a lot of people don't like to do it. It's super portagey. It's the Eagle Lake Loop, Turner, or some people call it the Turner Lake Loop.
Okay.
And the fishing's amazing. I think it's 19 portages totaling 10 kilometers. It's about
Whoa.
a 4-day trip.
It's decent.
But it's the kind of trip you can do any time of year. In the season, you could do it. The August long weekend, and you won't see anybody because no one likes to go there. If you walk 1,000 meters with a canoe on your head, you're going to have Eagle Lake to yourself, and that is a beautiful lake. It's on par with any lake in Temagami. It's absolutely beautiful. Its namesake holds up. There's bald eagles nesting on a cliff. I've never been through there without seeing families of otters. You guys saw the otter.
Hey, we saw a little otter.
Yeah,
That's
we
a
got
great
good
picture,
shot.
by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
thanks.
an amazing picture.
Thank
I
you.
showed my kids. They're like, "Did you actually see that?" I'm like, "Yes." I think I was in the tent recovering.
Yeah.
But I love that trip.
Yeah.
I love it, and it's a short trip. It's a hard trip, but there's huge payoff.
I'm just looking at it now. It's like 3-4 day trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a long trip. There's a few put-ins. You can lengthen it or make it shorter, make it a part of a longer trip. But
It's one of your favorites, you'd say then.
yeah, well, you go through Turner Lake and Eagle Lake. Turner Lake, it's a weird thing to say, but it has the best thunderbox in Temagami.
Nice.
So you're on this
Important.
island in the middle of the lake, and when you go to do your duty, you are at the edge of a cliff
Wow.
overlooking this massive, beautiful lake. It's the only campsite on the lake, and you have it to yourself, and you're just like,
That's cool.
this is the best place in Ontario to take a dump.
Yeah.
It's right here,
That's cool.
unless it's May and it's raining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because then you're getting eaten alive by mosquitoes and you're
Right.
cold.
But then there's no good
Yeah,
place
then
to do
it
it
sucks.
then.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful trip. I'd love to take you guys down there sometime.
Would you say that that route represents you in some way? Symbolically?
I think it might because it's not really well known.
Mhm.
It's kind of an underdog kind of route.
Mhm.
Like you wouldn't really do it, but once you do it, you're like, holy shit.
Eric was right.
That trip is great. And the people I've sent down it, ironically, the only person that ever complained about that trip was Clint. Uncle Tito, he's like,
Oh,
that
yeah.
trip was brutal. It was hard.
Just
it was
so much work,
yeah,
right?
it's a work trip, but
Yeah.
it's, again, like the way I like to describe Temagami to people, it's different than Algonquin. Well, Algonquin is way more portagey. It's one thing you have a lot more open lake, long lake, river paddling in Temagami than you do in Algonquin.
Yeah.
You got that canoe on your head a lot more in Algonquin than you do in Temagami.
Yeah.
So it's not more portage in the sense that there's more portages. The issue with Temagami is that the portages, every portage you go on for most of the routes, you kind of feel like you're the first person to
It's
have done
wild.
it that year.
Yeah.
So they're grown over. You're like, am I still in the portage? You got to look down at your feet. And the way I talk to people about not getting lost on portages
Yeah.
is just don't look ahead. Look at your feet.
Right.
Just stare at your feet. A, you don't want to fall. B, you want to make sure you're on some sort of trail.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not going to see it through the forest. You're going to
No.
see it on your feet.
Right.
Right.
So that's part of the exciting thing. That's part of the magic of Temagami. You feel like you're discovering it.
Yeah.
And every trip I've ever gone on in Temagami, I kind of feel like I don't think there's been someone here for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the last person that was here was me a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And in some instances, that's actually been
True.
the case.
Yeah.
So, I would say that the Turner Lake Loop is my go-to, mainly because you get out there, it's short, it's rugged, and the fishing's amazing. You get to drop into Annamanipissing Lake. A lot of people don't talk about that lake. That lake is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about this big lake that I think has 20 cottages on it or something at the northern part of the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a mini Lake Temagami in and of itself.
Yeah.
Just beautiful lake and
Jeez.
accessible. The fishing's incredible. Lots of campsites. Never have a problem finding one.
Mhm.
Right.
It's amazing places. We a lot of people also say, hey, so how do I reserve a site? How do I do that? Temagami is sort of the Wild West when it comes to that. So we don't even have when you go to the M&R park site now, we don't even refer to the individual parks of Temagami anymore. It's just called the Temagami Cluster. So the park name is being changed to the Cluster.
Cool.
And so I now actually say, so you're going into the cluster.
Yeah.
And I'm it's
Into
like
the cluster.
it's a clusterfuck in the cluster. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of But I like that. You don't have to reserve a lake. You don't have
Yeah.
to reserve a campsite. I don't know if you guys have been to Killarney or Algonquin, where it's like
Algonquin,
you got to
yeah.
be off your site at
Algonquin.
11 a.m.
Yeah.
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 You know, you
it's like a hotel.
can't stray from a lake. What happens if you're windbound? You know what?
Yeah.
There's so many different things. So a part of my job is explaining to people, well, we don't have to find your route, figure out what your route is right now. The most important thing is we get your canoes in the book, because I've only got 50, and July 27th, come March 15th,
Yeah.
I'm not going to have any. So we
Yeah.
can figure out your route up until July 27th, the morning you show up, and we can figure out where you're going to go. We're not reserving lakes. We're not reserving campsites. And, only 1/5 of what we consider the Temagami canoeing region is actually park.
Yeah.
So you can do a great example, Turner Lake Loop, no permits. It's not in any park.
Yeah.
So you
It's
don't.
not in any park.
It's
so
not
it's
in
just
any
totally
park.
Crown,
It's
kind of
100% crown land trip. You could make an argument in terms of 100% crown land trip. Well, you might say Cross Wassakseen as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another 100% crown land trip. There's so many of them in Temagami.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to make this massive sort of plan beforehand. You don't have to be on that Killarney hotline February 4th, because there won't be a single site available from June 15th to September 15th in Killarney come February 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not what Temagami's like. It's way more chill. It's way more. If someone could say, you want to compare it to ski areas, I'd say Killarney and Algonquin are Whistler, and Temagami is Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah.
It's cooler. It's bigger. It's better. The experience is more authentic.
Snoop Dogg's
It's
there.
ground zero.
You're further out. Yeah.
You're further out.
Yeah. I
So
dig it.
that's kind of. I want to go to Jackson Hole.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Aspen.
Yeah.
That's
Boom.
me.
Temagami, baby.
Yeah.
Eric, thanks for coming on the show.
I
man.
love you guys.
I love you too, man.
Yeah.
No,
We love you.
anytime you guys humor me.
Yeah.
You're a part of the shenanigans.
Oh, come on,
I
we
call
love
you guys up like, come on, we have some good times.
So
you know?
fun.
We just want to have some
You
good
know?
times.
It's so
I
fun.
think next
one of the
time though,
most-
someone's got to get between me and Aldo.
Yeah.
We can't
Next
have
time,
a
100%.
repeat of that. That's
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
can't
know,
leave,
I-
you
I
can't
was-
leave
I
him
was
and I
supposed-
alone.
But then
Yeah.
I think Aldo and I will beat that person up, whoever that is.
Probably, yeah.
Okay,
And
so
it'll happen
I will.
anyways.
I
I'll
thought-
come in there. I'll wrestle you guys.
I
don't
wish you
mind.
would. I kind of wish you would.
It's going to be so fun.
I like almost felt bad because we were like blasting tunes, which like how amazing are those portable speakers?
I didn't
If
feel
you're-
bad for 1 second.
I know you didn't.
I didn't. I turned it up actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun, man. It was a
It was
good
fun.
time.
It's like 4 a.m. We're
Yeah.
like blasting that metal.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden, right?
See, that's another, like, I know it's time to go, but
No,
there's
no,
that
no.
one thing
Yep.
where the way that technology has changed,
Yeah.
we can now bring our music and broadcast it at a very high level
Yeah.
wherever the fuck we go. You know,
Yeah.
you want it's better than having a giant like JVC stereo,
Totally.
that you put on your shoulder.
Those things are waterproof too.
Yeah,
Like the UE
these,
booms.
These UE
Amazing.
boom things, it sounds amazing. And Aldo and I are partying at 3 a.m, and it's awesome. I
So
can't.
good.
You know what?
It's raining.
The more I think of it, the more I want to do it again.
Oh, man. I can't wait to
it was
get back
pretty
out.
I'm gonna bring more Advil.
I can't wait
Well,
to get back out
I'm
there.
sorry I didn't come up when you guys
I
came
can-
up, because I would have partied with you.
What are you talking about? You were there.
Yeah, you were there. You were in bed. We were actually right beside
Oh, I
you.
thought you were talking about the first night.
I think
No,
we
we're
could,
talking
Thursday
hear,
night.
we could
We're talking
hear
the
you
second
snoring.
night.
Yeah.
Remember Eric
You were
and I
sleeping.
didn't get out of our sleeping bags till like 1 p.m.
yeah, I
the
remember
next
that.
day.
Yeah.
You went to bed.
You went to bed.
Little baby.
I had some CBD.
Oh, nice. Eric, do you want to tell anybody tell our audience where people can find you and how they can book sweet trips?
You know, you can check out our website at temagamioutfitting.ca.
Whoa.
You can click the link under the SoFly podcast on podcaster.ca.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. You just heard it.
Podcaster.ca.
It's happening. It's happening, people.
So good.
And you can call us at 416-835-0963, and we will tell you everything you need to know about coming to Temagami and getting in a canoe.
And come visit you in your new digs.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Can't wait to have you guys out.
Everybody go down there and visit them. It's so much fun. And just go. Like, what are you waiting for? Temagami is the best place.
Awesome.
You've opened our eyes. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Eric.
Always a pleasure.
That's it from me, Mitch, Aldo,
Yeah. Bye.
Yilma.
See you later.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Take care.
You can find all of SoFly's content at SoFly.ca. On Instagram, we're at the SoFly Crew. You can reach us at thesoflycrew@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or concerns. On Facebook, we're SoFly, and our podcast is available on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify.